Howdy and aloha, everybody. This is James with Monotalk. I've got Stevie here, Redneckonomics. And we were kind of just looking at some of the videos that we've done in the past and some other videos. Believe it or not, we were just looking at Michael Jackson for some reason, which is cool because Michael Jackson's cool. And I don't think he was like fondling or touching for some reason. I just don't. I think he was just, you just shouldn't be 50 and hanging around with 8-year-olds. I mean, if you're 4 to like 10,
yeah,
it's okay to hang around with 6-year-olds.
He was a damaged man, and I think that he was trying to just be a kid because he was never allowed that. So he was trying to be a kid. And
he just missed a lot of that.
And yeah, it's just not appropriate for a guy his age. I don't think it was like sex stuff, weird. But yeah.
Hey, let's see if I'm streaming here real quick. Oh, we are.
Oh, can you make sure you bring up the
what?
YouTube chat so we can keep a tab on that?
Okay.
See who's with us and see what they're saying.
When we put it on the side of us?
Yeah.
Like that. Okay, so let's see if I can do that. I think I can.
No, I mean, all you have to do is like slide that box right there over a little bit, and then you can have the YouTube chat over. I don't know if it plays it on the Zoom or not.
Is that better?
Yes.
No, this is probably better. Right?
No.
This is way better.
Okay.
This is way better.
There. Okay, stop it.
Okay. Let me start. Let me see if. Hi guys. Hey, hello everybody.
What are you doing?
I think it's already going, right?
Yeah, it's already going. You just need to put the chat on the side there.
Is the chat working? Let me just type in and see if it works. No, it's working. Okay. All right.
I just can't see anything. That's all I'm asking.
Let me type my usual howdy and aloha in regular chat. Gosh darn it. I just got off of the chat. God.
Okay. Mute it.
Regular chat. Gosh darn it.
Mute it.
Just got off of the chat. God, mute
it.
Mute
it. Mute it. Yes. There we go. All right.
Yeah, but where's my live stream? My regular live stream?
Now.
On YouTube.
Yeah, right there. Now bring it up. Now all you gotta do is go to the side there and make the box a little bit smaller so that way you can see the. No, not that one. The main box that you're in. No, go. No.
Okay. Like that?
No, I'm not talking about that. Go. No.
What are you talking about?
Like that.
So we can see the chat on the side. Okay.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, I don't even know if we're still live streaming.
We are still live streaming.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, we are.
We didn't end it.
I'm going to type something in. All right. All. I don't say y'all because I haven't been here long enough.
Yeah. Give it time.
Give it time. So I can get. Yeah, I know. I've found myself actually talking a little bit. Playing a little bit. Is that good? Right there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, like about right there, right?
Yeah, okay. That works.
All right, that's better. You should be.
Nope. We're good. All right, let's talk.
Oh, we're talking. All right, so here's my issue. And there's plenty of them. By the way, I just got to say, earlier, I had William on, and he mentioned to my show, and I'm going to try to be as empathetic as possible. William, sorry about your stepfather or whoever body you saw, but that was a little different.
That can be very, very. I can understand how upsetting that is.
Yeah, for sure.
Please, send me a message on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you. I know this got to be a rough thing that you're going through.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Sorry to hear you got to go through all that.
Yeah, that's tough. When my dad passed away, but FYI, it was kind of rough. I remember. Oh wait, it'll come back on. Hold on. There we go. I pushed pause. All right, everything should be working properly now. It didn't pick up my howdy and aloha. Wait, it will. Hang on.
It's right there. The video is farther back because you had it paused, so it's picking up from like a minute ago or two. So just hit refresh and it'll go to an updated.
What refresh?
Refresh on the button there.
This one?
Yep.
But where's my live chat?
It'll be there.
So this is the new version right here.
Right here. That's what's being displayed right now. And it's okay. You don't have to have the live stream displayed on your picture because then it has the live stream replay on it. So it's all good.
Okay. Oh, you know what I do need to do? Hang on. I think the quality is terrible. Oh, look at it. I got it on auto. Is that bad? I'm going to put it on HD. I think that's better. Yeah, HD should be the settings. Yeah, it should be better. All right. Anyway, my apologies. Anyway, here is the biggest thing that we've been talking about is it looks like there's an Armageddon-ish end of days kind of thing vibe in my last video. And honestly, it's very simple. It's very simple. I think we're at the precipice. I think we're at the point to where, either we start making the right decisions like right now, not like should have happened like 20 years ago or 50 years ago. But either we start doing it right now or we're going to find ourselves in some big fucking problems, So with that being known, I got to put this in the notes.
The way you click is it.
Should I go here and click happy?
Oh, Lord.
Oh, lordy. Lordy. All right, so.
No. Live streaming, yeah. Can you bring up your live stream?
I'm doing it right now. It should be.
Camera, right there. Or is it camera?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, I'm going to put out.
I'm going to load all the. Oh, hold on. I can ride my bike with handlebars.
You're going to get a copyright strike.
They're going to do who?
You're going to get a copyright strike.
Oh, just for singing it?
Yeah. I don't know. I think singing it's okay.
Yeah.
I was seeing where people were getting copyright strikes by walking past restaurants that were playing music.
All right. That's true.
I don't know how Benny Loco does it because she plays music all the time on her live streams and she never gets in trouble.
Oh, Max is on.
Hey, Max.
Hola, hello. Hey, Max. He's awesome. That's Air Force Max, by the way. He's awesome. Awesome
sauce. Legit with his name.
Yep. Totally cool. Oh, somebody commented on my last thing. Green Party, question mark, exclamation, question mark. Let me show you.
One Ocasio-Cortez is trying to push with the 70% tax.
So, here it is.
Tax increase in just UN Communist Manifesto. Is that what you people?
Who's you people?
What do you mean, you people?
Are you talking about us people? Fuck no. God.
What's wrong with 70% tax on the
rich?
ultra wealthy?
Oh, we're doing like triple stuff here.
No,
that's not good. But so how do we get out of it? Look, it's still going.
I really hope Snore can join us tonight because I would really like to throw that information at him.
Right?
Yeah. About how fat people can process carcinogens better.
Oh, because the Dow is starting to spill more crap everywhere.
Yeah, they just want to put more chemicals in our water because
Yeah, because if you're fat, you can absorb it more.
there's more area for the toxins to spread out in.
Yeah, sorry, we're doing some. There we go. Yeah, it's okay. If you're obese or
And if you're a child or somebody that's immunocompromised, or if you're healthy, fuck you.
no, healthy people get a pass.
No. They can't absorb toxins like us fat people can. So,
Honey, we're healthy. Okay, that's what matters. What's my blood pressure?
120/60, 80, 120/80. Yeah.
I'm 120/80.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but anyway, I need to lose at least like 80 pounds. Trust me, that just has to happen. All right, so Max, everyone, whoever's here, how do I say? It's very simple. We have a point. We're at that point, and we're trying to make the point that if we don't start taking the right actions or doing the right things, or the best things, or the needed things, or the necessary things, I'm not big on right and wrong. That's just a matter of like perception and where you come from and what you think is right and wrong. But there's a needed thing. There's a needed action that needs to happen, and that is get money out of politics. Get money out of politics. That's me. Because once you take the money away from the legislators, the judiciaries, and the executives, then who do they work for? They work for you.
They might have to use like common sense and facts.
No, that's always important. But what I'm saying is if you take away that extra little, greasy pocket, they grease them a lot. They got elbow grease. They got like backroom deals and all this other shit. The thing is once you take away all that extra money and all the extra spiffs and the carte blanche and everything they get from just being a legislator, a judiciary, or an executive.
Yes, but it has to go hand in hand with election reform, because if they don't do election reform with it, they can still get reelected on bullshit ideas.
So you want ranked choice voting.
The most important part is money out of politics. But then But a very, very, very close second is election reform.
Like election reform as in
every vote
the
counts.
Electoral College was rigged, by the way, for the reasons of corporations.
I'm not even talking about I'm not even talking about the Electoral College. I'm talking about stop throwing ballots out, stop registering people under different parties than what they signed up for, stop doing the weighted votes where, if you vote for a Bernie Sanders, it counts for 3/4 of the vote than a Hillary Clinton.
Right.
That kind of thing, or switching votes from a Bernie Sanders to a Hillary Clinton, or what have you with the Green Party. I mean, all the shenanigans with the Green Party that they do.
The shenanigans?
Shenanigans. That's what I always sum it up as. It's shenanigans, because I don't know.
They're all shenanigans. I love that. Yeah, it's interesting. So they have ranked choice voting. We do that when I'm a standing General Assembly member of the Green Party. Mm-hmm. I'm also a media committee member, which I'll be attending the next meeting. The last one I didn't go to. I was super busy. I've just got a lot of shit going on. But the next one I go to, I am definitely going to let them know that they need to start focusing on their candidates sooner. Because here's the reason why. What's interesting, you already have people you already have candidates or people that are legislators, judiciaries, executives, or they're popular people that are already throwing in their cap or their hat to go after the nomination of president, to go after a candidate, to be a candidate for the presidency. This is already happening. I haven't heard anybody in the Green Party yet. Not one person. And they should be going after, of course, House of Representatives on the Hill in Congress.
I think that would be.
They're fucking late to the party every fucking year.
I think that. Yeah. I think that would probably be the most. I mean, because we're talking about presidents, they're talking about city planners. So I think a really great place to start would be the House of Representatives, something like that. Because a House of Representatives would be perfect. First of all, it would give them a background, a history. They can get their foot in the door. You can see the kind of legislature they're trying to get passed, what they're working on, what they're focused on.
Right.
And then at the same time, it gives them not only just a foot in the door, but you can get like a feel for what they're trying to do. So that's how we can get them to a Congress, position. But I'm not too focused. See, I think that's where we differ a little bit. Is I'm not really focused on the political electoral part of politics anymore. I'm really focused on just getting people interested and aware. I want to piss people off, basically. Not pissed at me, but pissed at the right people. I want people to be angry. I feel like we're so complacent in the scraps that we get that we don't get angry enough. We don't get angry at the people that are making us choose between clean drinking water
Mm-hmm.
and a job. That should never be a choice. It should never be an either or. And that yet people around here think that that's normal. It's normal that we should have to drink poison water so that we can have jobs. That's not right.
Honey.
I mean, our whole mindset is totally fucked.
Unless if you're obese, it's okay.
Yeah. I can handle mercury and lead, all right? I got the body fat.
Because I've got the chunks, take care of the ducks. Whatever that meant.
I don't know.
In a nutshell, I think what we're really getting to is...
Can you please put the chat up on the side?
Sorry. All right. So what we're really getting to is it's very simple. All right, what we got? Forsaken!
Hey!
Good to see you. And Max is here. Hello, Forsaken. Hi, Max. Okay, what we're really saying is we've got to take some serious action. I believe, and I am very strong on this, is get a green in the House. And the reason why I say is to get a green in the House, I'm not talking about the city level. I'm not talking about the county level. I'm not talking about the state level. I am talking about the federal level. If you get one green in the House of Representatives, on the Hill, in Congress, D.C., things change.
How are you? I
What?
don't know. This is where
Okay.
here's why. So much this.
Here's why. Because there's a new voice. There's a new direction. So it's going to be, for one, monumental. Monumental. The two-party oligarchy, the duopoly, or as my last video, the blalas. I call the two-party oligarchy now, or the duopoly, the blalas. They're the blalas. You know what blala is, right? I told you. You don't want to be a blala. It's like the worst thing you can call a Polynesian. Hey, bro, you're blala. That's like, boom, that's fighting words. That's like shameful, disrespectful, embarrassing piece of shit. Whatever. It's the worst thing you can do.
I think the worst thing that you can call these people is a
Democrat. Is blala.
Is a Democrat or a Republican. I don't think there's any more shameful thing to be than just what it is. Not a Democrat, not a blah blah. You just call them what it is.
Yeah,
they perfect. Are themselves. They are shameful.
Welcome to New Mexico.
Hey, Garden. It's been a minute.
It's Garden. Are you kidding?
Hey.
Are you kidding?
What's up, you guys?
How you been?
What's up? It's open forum, so we don't even have a door. We don't have a door or a doorbell. I'm not. In other words,
what do you mean, on here or on the house?
No, I mean I just don't like having to let people in. Just come in. If you're a fucking dick, you're out. That's it. But since it's Garden, we'll give them a pass.
George, you better watch out, man. I'm gonna fuck up your channel. I'm gonna post something up there.
I'm gonna go Alex Jones on your ass.
Are you going to tell us why we should vote Hillary Clinton in 2020?
Yeah.
That's right. I'm going to tell you why you should donate to Wolfpack.
Yeah. It's all TYT
Start
for us.
stealing the deal. Donate to Wolfpack, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's my message.
Wolfpack is like a Mac attack.
It's like a fucking god.
It's fucking hilarious.
Shirley's
So what's
here.
the deal, you guys? Like,
Who?
Steve,
Cheryl.
are you in
Oh,
California?
Cheryl's here. Cheryl, get in here. Goddamn. Sorry. Just keep talking.
Oh, Shirley, I miss you so much.
You better
Are you
jump
in
on. You
California,
better.
Stevie, or James? Are you in West Virginia?
I am currently
Where are
in.
you guys at?
I am in West Virginia.
How are you digging it?
I'm going to be totally honest with you. Okay. I know that's that's a telltale sign right there. It's the adjustment is a little different, but I don't miss the 8-lane to 10-lane traffic jams for like an hour and 15 minutes just to go 5 or 10 miles. I'm not missing the hustle and bustle and the craziness of 14 million people. In the city, in the little town I'm in right now, there's 1,600 people, and everybody's like, "Oh man, you're so awesome and so cool. You know what, honey dog, you're such a sweetie pie." And it's just the craziest. Yeah. Everybody talks like you're like. My family doesn't even talk like that. My family talks to me like, "Hey," my sister called me dipshit all the time, right? But these people are so kind and so nice and so it's just the southern, is it southern hospitality, or it's just so sweet. It's crazy. I mean, I used to work at a dealership when I'm working at a dealership now that had 1,500 cars, right? 1,500 vehicles, new and used. I'm at a dealership now that has 20 cars.
He keeps calling everything cute.
It's cute.
Oh, your highway's so cute. Oh, your little roads are so cute. It's so cute out
It's
here.
culture shock, man. Like, you go from one part of the U.S. to another, and like, you know, you're in different places. Totally.
Yeah.
People are different. Like, sometimes you don't even have to go that far. Like, go from like coastal Florida to interior Florida. And like, you're in two different goddamn worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's kind of, what is that, the bayou, or are you talking like the Everglades, right?
It's like on the coast, man. Like either
Florida
side, like
brand of
Tampa
Rednecks.
or Miami, you know, go on the coast and then go to like Orlando or go to like, you know, someplace out in the middle or even go up to Tallahassee. It's totally different.
It's night and day. It's, for me right now, since I've been in concrete jungle pretty much all my life, I've been on a fucking vacation ever since I've been here. You know, it's just been it's pretty fucking cool. I mean, I already did snow angels, or like that was like the 4th day I was here in the snow, and then
Have you ever had to deal with snow before? Like, really?
I lived in Alaska, bro, for 2 years. I lived in
I didn't know
Canada
that.
for 2 years. I lived in Washington. I'm very from. Okay, are you ready for
It's
the hot?
just been a minute.
Okay, let me tell you the hot water moment. Okay, so the windshields of cars get frozen. What I was taught was you grab a big bucket of hot water and you throw it on top of the windshield, and boom, everything's gone. So she's out using a
can of mixed fruit.
A can of mixed fruit, you know, the mixed fruit little cans, and she's scraping across the windshield. And I go, honey, hold on. So I grabbed this big pan or pot of hot water, and I come out and just one splash, and the whole entire window turns completely perfect without any snow or anything.
I still resent you a little bit.
Yeah, she kind of resents me for that.
I
Just
thought
get an ice
with the hot and
scraper,
cold, it would
Stevie.
like shatter the window.
No, I know that trick has been used forever. When I was a kid, I used to watch my aunt, my mom, and my dad use it all the time. So I'm familiar with cold weather. It's not a big deal. The thing is I'm kind of dormant. I've gained like 20 pounds since I've been here. But I like it.
Fucking skiing or something.
Here's the biggest plus.
Okay, you're good, mushy.
Okay.
How sweet. Your love.
That was so.
I was surprised though when I first saw you guys in the same place. I didn't.
Like, what
I
the
had
fuck?
no clue. You know, I'm just like, oh shit. They're in the
what
same
the hell?
room. What's up with that?
Dude, I drove. Check this out. It was a Friday morning. It was like Thursday night. I said, guess what? I'm driving out. When did I say I was prepping to come out?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't think I was really coming.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did? Okay. So Friday morning, I gassed up. I'm like, I got all my shit. I brought my punching bag, my stand-up punching bag, because I always take that everywhere I go. And two really cool. Anyway, I brought some stuff. And that morning, I go, I am gassing up right now. I'm gonna probably do about 300 or 400 miles today, maybe 6, whatever. And I was on my way. And then
You made here what 3 days?
Yeah, so Friday morning at about 8:30, I left where I lived in Southern California, Laguna Hills.
So did you take the I-10 across, or which way did you go?
The 10 was it? No, I think it was the 60. It was the 60.
Or the 10 and the 60?
Yeah, right.
Probably, yeah. Then
So
did you go through Albuquerque? Or
and I got here on what, Sunday night?
Yeah.
I got here on Sunday night. 2,347 miles, dude.
Yeah, it sucks. One time I had to drive from southern fucking Arizona up to northern Wisconsin and turn around 2 days later and drive the whole way back.
What?
That
brutal.
sucked.
That's brutal.
My ex-wife's dad was in the hospital.
You went out for that? That's kind of cool.
She was scared of flying.
Oh, she was scared of flying, so you went that route.
Shoot,
So
I was
drunk.
terrified of flying. I mean, I thought I was going to puke on that plane when I was going out to California. It was scary as hell.
I flew her out.
I don't like commercial jetliners. I like, I'll fly in a 2-engine plane, like a little 2-engine plane, and I'll be cool with it. But like, I do not like flying on these old ass, junky fucking 747s. The bolts, the bolts are rattling.
No,
like,
the rivets. You can see the rivets move.
Yeah.
No, you can actually see, and they've showed video of the rivets and the plane extending and flexing.
Well, it's meant to flex.
But it's meant to do that, yeah.
But still, it's unnerving, and these things are 30 years old. And the guy in charge of repairing these things only cares about how much money he's putting.
You know that the guy that's in charge of checking that stuff is underpaid. Wait, that's all I'm saying.
Lockheed Martin? No. When they built it, they were fine 30 years ago.
But the guy that goes on the tarmac and checks it before they take off, that guy
it's the guy at Southwest who isn't making that much money, who does a quick glance and
his
goes,
kids
that's fine.
kept him up.
Well, and the problem isn't that guy isn't getting paid. It's the problem that there should be 10 more of him.
Hey, Chad.
And he has the work of like 10 dudes to do.
No, exactly. What's up, Chad? The inspection, exactly what you're saying is there should be more than just one person checking the plane. Mm-hmm. Let me reposition the.
We got somebody else in here. Is that Cheryl?
I don't know. It looks like Cheryl.
Is it?
Is that Cheryl?
Yes.
Hey,
what's
up? I love it.
How you guys been?
Oh,
pretty good. Just trying to. It's been fucking cold here. It's been up here. It's been like, what was it, about a week ago? It didn't get above 5 degrees for like a good week. And the wind was howling, and man, like you couldn't even go outside. It really sucked.
Yeah, we had got that polar vortex a couple of weeks ago, and tomorrow it's going to be at 60 degrees.
Oh,
it's like on either side of me, I got these giant ice cubes, and like the wind just blows off of them, and like there's so much snow. I'm out there shoveling, shovel, get up. It's time to shovel again because like another foot of snow is falling on the ground.
We haven't had more than what, like 2 inches or 3 inches?
Yeah.
We haven't had like
it's
a big.
disturbing. We used to have several feet of snow every winter.
She said you used to walk outside, you couldn't walk anywhere. Now
Yeah,
you,
like I used to make tunnels in the snow when I was a kid. Now that it's just it gets cold as hell, but it doesn't snow. As soon as it gets warm, though, it rains for like 3 weeks straight.
4 seconds on. You got
Oh
Chad
my
on.
God! Forsaken
AFC, what's
hate.
up?
Hey.
Oh, this is so wonderful.
And she's talking.
What's up, guys?
Hey, girl.
It's a
What's up,
chicken.
girl? And the chat's here. What's up, Chad? Good seeing you, brother.
What's up, Chad?
What's good?
Hey, Chad.
How's Miss
Hey.
Ava doing?
Yeah, how is Miss Ava?
Getting big.
Oh.
Cuter.
How old is she now?
13 months.
Ooh, she's walking. She's getting into everything now, isn't she?
Well, she's not quite walking yet. She's running around for sure, crawling around and causing havoc. So
Hey, guys, I went by and had the best breakfast ever at Chad's house on my way here in Memphis. And,
Yeah, well.
and
You
I
guys met up?
touched, and I actually held her, and she's kind of like, "Who is this fucking Sasquatch?" Right? But she was pretty cool about it, and she's just the most gorgeous. You just want to either get in my belly, you know. She was just the cutest thing ever. But those pork chops were just awesome, bro, with eggs and on the potatoes. I was just like, yeah, that'll get me through to the rest. Because if it wasn't for you, Chad, I was about to turn around about that point.
Yeah, he was living on like cheeseburgers and French fries.
Yeah.
I had a bag of potato chips the whole time. I was just like, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Tough. Well, good, I'm glad.
One thing I found that you're going to want to stay away from in the South, James, is fucking Crystal Burger.
What is it called?
You know,
Burger,
Crystal?
we don't have
Do
one.
they have Crystal? And like, they've got them in Tennessee.
No,
Do
we
they
don't
have White
anything up
Castle?
here.
Like,
White
what?
Castle?
They're similar to White Castle. Crystal is.
I in some ways I like Crystals better. You know, if we're talking about that, I really don't eat that shit much.
Neither do I, but like, you know, it's just a
I'll-
classic debate, dude. Like, northern people like White Castle, and like southern people like fucking Crystal.
Well, it's the chili cheese fries that get me. That's the one.
What do you get? You guys
We
just-
don't have either one, so I went and tried it once, and I was like, I don't get the hype. But you know,
They just have biscuits. Everything's about
everything's
biscuits.
on a biscuit. I love biscuits.
Yeah, it's like biscuit this and biscuit that, and now I'm like, I got a biscuit belly.
Biscuit belly.
They
I
got
do,
Waffle
don't worry
Houses
about
all over the place now, but Waffle House used to be a southern thing too.
They have
Oh,
one in
yeah.
Anaheim, California. They have one in Anaheim.
We got one about an hour from here, Waffle House.
They do?
Mhm.
Oh, we're going there. You know the best place I've eaten out here? This is the trippiest thing. So I used to eat at some really great Chinese restaurants in Hawaii, right? Like people that flew over or boated over or whatever and created these authentic Chinese restaurants. So I come over here and there's a Chinese buffet about 5 miles this way, northeast. It's called China Buffet. And I go in there and I'm looking at everything in the buffet, everything's set up. There's a bunch of food. There's like 4 different
Literally
stations.
anything you would want.
And, I mean, anything Chinese. And I'm like, oh, that's real lo mein noodles. Oh my God, that's real egg foo young. Oh my God, that's real char siu ribs. Everything was, and I could smell it. And I knew right off the bat it was perfect. And I mean, these are the only Asian people that I've seen. I know this is bad, but there's not like in California, there's a ton of Hispanic people everywhere. Here, and there's a lot of Asians, North Korean, Vietnamese, Chinese, whatever. But these are like the only Asian people I've seen, and they make the best Chinese food. And I've been to some places through LA. I've been to some places in Orange County by Disneyland, but this has got to be the best place ever. And it's China Buffet what in Kanawha?
Canal.
They say canal, but I think it's supposed to be Kanawha. Anyway. But it's just like the best, and everything's perfect.
You say it like the news people.
It's the same thing in Biloxi, man. Like you'd never expect to see an Asian community like down in Mississippi somewhere. But there is one. It's in Biloxi and Ocean Springs. They've got like some really good Asian food in Biloxi.
Like a little cell of people that, it's like what I want to do out here is I would like to put. They have L&L Hawaiian food in Vegas and Arizona, I think, and Southern California. What I'd like to do is do an L&L Hawaiian plate lunch. It's like the ultimate of Hawaiian food.
Is that like the spam like burgers?
Yes,
and
it
stuff?
is the spam the connoisseur culinary rainbow of spam, bro.
Like
and
spam and chili is one of them, and like
spam eggs.
There's a name for it, yeah.
Spam and
I think there's an overlap between Hawaiian and redneck foods, though.
There is.
You know why that is? It's because of the U.S. military.
Oh, there you go.
That's also the reason why spam is straight up is popular in the South Pacific.
There it is. Damn Navy. I was in the Navy.
Oh,
bunch of rednecks in the Navy coming over.
Oh yeah.
Teaching these people how to cook, I guess.
But I would love to do that. There's no Hawaiian food places out here.
I know, it's shocking. A state with 96% white people.
Here's what's interesting. Coming from a place where there's about 14 million people overall, there's 47,000 people. And then just where the town I'm in, there's only 1,500. And the biggest thing that I've noticed is there's the same, but at a micro level. There's everything. Everybody kind of drives the same, moves the same, operates the same. The language is a little different. The accent's different, but the processes are still the same. The social services suck. When they want to build roads, it's still fucked up. Everything's still the same, but at a micro level. Mm-hmm. I mean, in LA, you'll have like 10 miles of fucking road that like 300 people are working on with heavy equipment and shit, and they're taking forever fucking shit up. The thing is here there's like a section of 1.5 miles with 4 people doing the same thing. So nothing's working correctly everywhere. That's the thing. That's the big takeaway.
We're all screwed.
We're just all fucked up.
Yeah.
Forsaken.
Yep, good luck.
I know it's yeah. Hi, girl. What's going on with you? How you been?
I don't know, not too much. Been hanging in mostly. I've been having pain, and we don't know what's going on, and thinking it might be rheumatoid arthritis setting in.
Ooh.
And I don't know. Been having all kinds of tests and stuff for the last year to try and figure out what's happening, but we're not really sure.
That's rough.
That is rough. So
smoke lots of weed.
Don't get addicted to pain pills.
Well, right now all I'm doing is Advil and turmeric and pepper and tea.
My brother has gout really bad, and a buddy of mine who's Vietnamese, who they're great. The Cows, CAO, and Chris Cow and Sean Cow, very, very business-like 2 brothers. They're just very successful. And they gave me this Taiwanese pill and bottle of stuff to take to my brother who had gout. And they don't sell it anywhere, but you can get it online. And my brother to this day for the past 5 years has been taking it on like every other day. and everything's fine. So my point is we don't have what we need to take care of what we need. We depend on big pharma. We depend on what they tell us to depend on. There are drugs, not drugs, but what is that? Homeopathic? Not homeopathic, but like natural.
Holistic.
Holistic. Thank you, Cheryl. Holistic drugs
You're
that are
welcome.
out there that are good for you.
Yeah.
That they don't want you to know that
it's something that's
exists.
more natural to your body's composition. You don't want to introduce something that's purely chemical or whatever. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want something, whatever just lessens the harshness of the chemical that's being introduced.
It absorbs better. It just
exactly
it digests better.
Yeah, your body just can process it better.
Some of these, like, I love the commercials of when you're going, we want you to try Picaxol. Picaxol, by the way, will give you vomiting and internal bleeding, and after that, your head might fucking fall off. But we want you to try Picaxol.
Yep, it'll make you feel better for part of the day sometimes.
What?
What's up,
Eric? Hey,
how's it going, everyone?
Look at that mustache,
Look at that
man.
mustache, dude. Look at him.
Hey, Eric.
Eric, you look like a cop.
Hey, everyone, how's it going?
Officer Eric,
license and
here to arrest
registration.
us all.
Yeah, got the mustache going.
There's nothing.
Did
nothing in my crotch and nothing up my ass. Just letting you know, nothing.
Did you guys see the video? I don't know what state it was in, but this man was in his hospital room. He had stage 4 cancer.
I saw
and he
that.
was You saw that?
Mhm.
That was a disgrace. The hospital called, talking about they smelled it. He said he had pills.
Sick.
What?
Sick. I'm sorry. I don't care if you got stage 4 cancer of any type. As long as you're not hurting anybody else, fucking go for it. That's what my grandma died of. And you know what? You can just, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, whatever it is that makes your way out of this world any easier to ease the pain or to settle, put your mind at ease, do it. Do it. And it's just sick that, I got this, does this guy feel good about doing his job? He gets paid to go in here and harass somebody that's on death's doorstep, that they're just trying to find some little piece of mind or some little, break from the pain, and this guy's coming in there and shaking them down. You feel good about your job, dude? That's why I'd love to ask him.
I know, they'd rather have people on opioids than let them smoke
yeah.
weed if it's going to help them.
Shame on you.
Yeah,
Take
he
your
didn't want to
opioids.
take the medicine. He didn't want to take the medicine they was offering. And the hospital called the cops.
What?
Yeah.
That is so ass backwards. All right, so we're trying to fix. Are we trying to fix all this?
Yeah.
There we are. By the way, guys, thanks for. I'm just letting you know, it's fucking awesome to have all of you here. I'm not going anywhere. I've got a few beers and something else. We have heroin, right? Is it heroin or is it acid?
Both.
Damn it.
It's meth. You're in West Virginia.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, shit.
Bucket crank.
Yeah.
Dude, I gotta say, bro.
Bucket crank and
nasty
oxys.
Bad out here. There are some fucking walking zombies out here, bro. It is so bad.
Well, probably the worst kind of shit like that I saw was in Miami. Like, people walking around with paint all over the front of their shirts, like stumbling like down the street. Paint huffers, gas huffers all over the place. That was a plague down in Florida.
What, Flocka? Is that what it's called?
There's an actual, what's a new drug?
Flocka?
What?
That's the one where people act like they're possessed by the devil.
Oh. I want to try that.
Yeah. You see those people acting like what they act like on Flocka, and you're like, man, I gotta get some of that.
You're flocking, bro. You're so flocking.
I gotta wonder what their brain's at, though. Like, what is going on
Not
in
the right place.
Well, this is what we're seeing, but what are they actually experiencing? Like, it can't be good.
No.
They aren't in a good place.
Flocka. What is
Flocka?
it? I've never
What
heard
do you
of
got,
it.
Forsaken? What'd she say?
What's
I got.
Flocka? No, I said, what's Flocka?
I don't know what it is. I don't know if you smoke it or inject it, but if you look on YouTube, just type in Flocka, you'll see what the people act like on that. And they act like when you see like these movies that like The Exorcist or people that are possessed, you know, like that's exactly what they act like. They're talking and they're writhing around and they're jerking around and they're somewhere else. They're totally not anywhere connected to anything on this planet. They're somewhere else. It is super creepy to watch.
Is it good for is like ecstasy? Because that's good.
No,
for,
no,
okay.
no. They
Damn
don't
it.
look like they're in
Damn
ecstasy
it.
at all. They
I
don't
remember
look like they're
like
enjoying where
first
they're at.
time I saw bath salts. I walked into like a head shop to get like some papers,
Mhm.
and like they sold all kinds of products here, right? Like some holistic stuff and whatever. And I see all these bath salts, and I'm like, what is this? Some kind of new fad? Like, are people like, you know, putting salts in their baths, and this is some kind of holistic fad? Like, then 2 weeks later, like, I start seeing these news reports about people flipping the fuck out on bath salts, like doing crazy shit. Like, I'm sure you guys have heard the stories.
Oh, dude.
Faces and such.
Like the guy that tried to eat somebody's face?
Yeah, Miami.
Yep.
What do we need? I mean, what else? I mean,
what do you think
You
of
know
as
what?
a good time?
You know
Like,
what?
man, I really want to eat
I
somebody's
can't wait till
face.
I can't wait till they have that drug. It's called "Punch Me in the Face." Just punch me in the face, drug, right?
That's how they name weed now.
And
I
it's like
forget.
it's like this, like, have a big Polynesian punch you in the face for $5. You know what I mean? It's like it's gonna get so extreme. It's so bad.
Why not make it 10?
I know.
People
For
pay
$10,
5, they'll pay 10.
right? Yeah, it's just like
So how
kick
would
me
you
in the
like
nuts.
Hawaiian punch?
Yeah, that's what we should call it. How about a nice Hawaiian punch? How about a nice Hawaiian punch? Right? Or kick me in the nuts and what was that? I used to say to people, it's like, you're fucking me and everything's screwed up. And then I'd go, well, why don't you just kick me in the nuts and say thank you? You know, whatever. Because there's people out there that will screw you so bad on certain situations that are happening in the world. It's like, you know what? Just kick me in the nuts, we'll call it even. So that could be helpful, but it's getting so bad. I mean, it's not only do you just have just big pharma coming after you, just to take your brain and your heart and your lungs and your liver and your kidney and your body away to just rip it apart. You also have these illegal drugs that are out there that are kind of illegal or whatever the fuck they are that are from kind of like pieces of big pharma. Like you put a little bit of this
It's
here,
the
a little
same
bit,
thing.
right?
Like when you look at the difference between meth and Adderall, it's the same chemical, just like just barely tweaked. I mean, same thing with heroin and Oxycontin or whatever. It's the same chemical, except they can put a TM after it and trademark it and
Well,
sell it.
What are the ones where you take it because you're trying to get off of it?
Suboxone.
It's Suboxone, right?
I just talked to a girl recently, and she was talking about her experience with it because she was strung out really bad on meth, and she was trying to get her life together and all this, and which she did do eventually, but she said that Suboxone was the worst thing that ever happened to her.
Did she get addicted to it?
She was on meth, she was on all this different stuff, and Suboxone was 10 times harder to come off of.
But that's what they gave her. That's what was prescribed.
That was the medicine to get her off of the other stuff. You know.
And heroin addicts made similar complaints about methadone.
There it is. I was going to say that too.
Like methadone is like harder to get off of, I guess, than heroin.
Well, that's what they explained to me when I went through the whole process of, rehab and all that. They said that the chemical substances that, like, the difference between opiates and heroin is way harder to come off of because the withdrawal symptoms are harder. But opiates are harder to kick long term because they have long term results that your body just doesn't come back from and that it craves and stuff. So I mean, it's the same thing with meth and all that. It's just, I mean, it's just tough all around.
Here's
Yeah,
what. Go
it's a
ahead.
shame. Like, opium is a wonderful substance, and if people would use it properly, it would make the world a better place.
Here's
Opium's a nice, pleasant, high.
okay.
Like, if people would smoke low-grade opium, like the way they take drinks, or they, maybe smoke some grass or something. If you had, fresh, natural opium, there would be no real issue with it. But then you synthesize it, and you turn it into morphine, and then you turn it into heroin.
It gets really messed up because, I mean, these are substances that we've had around for centuries, that we've
Natural.
been using for centuries.
Yeah,
It's
Cocaine.
what he's saying is the processed part.
That's what I'm
of
saying
it.
is
Yeah.
cocaine, heroin, all these things have been around for centuries that we've been using for medicinal purposes. But when you look back in the 1800s, you didn't have a massive heroin problem. You didn't have a massive coke problem, like people, dropping dead from coke or crack or whatever. This is a new thing that's being introduced, is because people are lacking. They don't have a purpose. They don't have a reason. They're tuning out. They're numbing down.
Well, imagine never having to go to the doctor or to the pharmacy for a pain reliever ever again, simply because you kept a small crop of opium poppies at home.
Yeah, but the thing is like people back in the day didn't keep dipping into it because they had different outlets. Like they got outside, they had manual labor, they had family, they had friends, they had time for all these things. But now in today's society, it's changed so much that we're cut off from family, we're cut off from friends. It's all about work, 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 and we have nothing to show in return.
Yeah.
I mean, and our life
I'm 6 days a week.
is totally void of any kind of meaning or purpose. And,
I mean,
and we
there
can't
were
live like
people
that.
with a problem. I mean, they had the opium dens, and there were people who predicted that, but it just wasn't on this kind of scale.
No, it wasn't. It's not like it wasn't a problem. You're right. It definitely happened, but on this scale, no, nowhere close.
This opium isn't like this smoking. If you become there were definitely opium dens, and people became addicted to opium. No doubt.
Sure.
No doubt. But again, what we're talking about here is just levels of degree. It's much easier for a person to come off of someone who's been smoking opium directly from a poppy than it is someone who's been taking synthesized and enhanced versions of opium, which are morphine, heroin, things
well, we have to thank our government for this epidemic. Why you think we still in Afghanistan?
Yeah,
guarding them poppy fields. They bring it here. That's how they took the Black Panther down. They pushed heroin in the neighborhood because a lot of them got hooked on heroin.
The same thing that they did with crack is exactly the same thing they're doing with opiates now. Exact same game plan.
And they did it back with opiates back in the day too.
They're running the same fucking game.
Yeah, it's the government. And then when they talking about they all worried about the opioid epidemic. No, you're not. Why are you still in Afghanistan?
Mm-hmm. That was my problem with Richard Ojeda. He talked about how glorious and righteous his war in Afghanistan and all these different wars he fought in was, when at the same time he's fighting the war on drugs. I'm like, you don't even understand, or even if you do, you're choosing to not talk about your role in this problem. You fought a war to bring opiates into my community, and now you're sitting there and peddling a solution to it.
Well, it's the same game they always play. Like, you profit off of both ends of it. Like, you get to have your little wars, and then you go home and, like, I'm not saying that Ojeda is, a scumbag or anything.
No.
But that's like how it has always been.
No, I put
you,
him in
you
this.
start these drug wars and these other types of wars abroad, and then you come home and create these policies that are in the end only designed to increase the profit of the wars and the resource looting that you've been doing.
I'd say he's in the same category almost as AOC. Like, I feel like he really does truly believe the message he's putting out there. He really wants to help people.
Did you just say AOC?
He really thinks he wants to help people, and because he's too close to the powerful, and she's too close to the powerful, that they think that working within the Democratic Party is going to change things, or that they're going to change Nancy Pelosi's mind, or Chuck Schumer, or any of them. Like, they're
a lot of things have come out about AOC that I wasn't aware of.
Did y'all hear?
Yeah, because I don't trust her.
Did you hear about her campaign?
Wait, sorry. Before we go, Chad, you were going to say something about...
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chad.
You sure? You had your mic up.
No. I was gonna bring up the Inman chick, the chick that's, what's her name?
Ilhan Omar.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up her and see what everybody thought, because she had said something about Obama that I was impressed with.
Oh,
you know what?
By the way,
the real reason why that chick's getting punished, dude.
Hey, Ben.
The real reason she's getting punished is because she made a fool of Abrams. It's not about, like, don't get me wrong, this anti-Semite shit serves a purpose too, but the real reason they're going after her so hard is because of, you don't fuck with people like Elliot Abrams, or else they make you pay for it.
Exactly.
They just recently, maybe like a week or two ago, they had National GOP Day here in our legislature.
Oh, yeah.
And they had a thing. There was like a display that they put up that linked her to 9/11. And it had her picture, and it said, 9/11, never forget. Apparently, we forgot. It's just like Democrats are like, yes. Democrats are like, yeah, baby, we get to be a victim. Like, they get to go and give me, like, I'm so outraged at the Republican Party right now. Look at what bigots are in there. And yes, it is a bigoted statement. It is so ridiculous. Like, she had anything at all to do with 9/11. But at the same time, like, it's just something the Democrats can just, like, throw around out there. Like, see how awful the Republicans are? They're totally different from us, because we have Muslims and they don't. We'll still vote on agreement in the same bill. We'll still give money.
Oh, we have Native
Saudi
Americans.
Arabia.
We have Elizabeth Warren, who's a Native. No, she's not.
Oh, you mean
really
Pocahontas? The fakey Pocahontas? Disney Pocahontas?
Did you guys see the Jimmy Dore thing today, where they showed that video and they talked about the Venezuelan aid to, like, poor people or whatever, of this oil, like this free oil program?
Yeah.
And basically it translated the message.
Or ammunition?
It was actually just like some kind of program they set up because they have, like, so much oil reserves or whatever, to like donate, or apparently it's the way they said it was like it donates oil, or like it was like free oil for, like, homeless shelters and, like, 500,000 Americans or something like that.
What?
And
my mother-in-law got that oil.
They did it was years ago. They did that, like 2000.
It was 2005, 2009.
It was under Chavez that they did that.
Yeah, but the thing was, Chavez said, you're an embarrassment, Obama. You don't, like, what does the black community think about you? Like, you're just a disappointment. Or he said you're in a disappointment, and, like, I think it summarizes something pretty well. Like, I mean, I think he was spot on. Like he was saying something very deep right there.
Yeah, I saw that because my mother-in-law got that oil because she said, and RFK was doing commercials on TV about it, then it disappeared.
Ah.
So Chavez was doing good, and he cut half the poverty over there too when he was president.
It was fine.
And you know what we did? We kicked him in the fucking face.
And the
And
balls.
said, you're going to give us your goddamn oil. And we're going to continue to degrade your government system, so you do. And at the end, Chavez himself, who knows if this is true or not, but he did say this. The Chavez accused the U.S. of introducing weaponized cancer into him and killing him.
I believe it. They probably invented AIDS too.
So who knows, man? Like, but he did make that accusation.
You know what? When you've said this a lot of times, Garden. Who knows? Who knows? But
because they show an awful lot of cancer hospital commercials on TV here.
But exactly. But what I'm saying is, when you say who knows, it's like, don't we have enough evidence already?
Yes, they're not lying to us. They throwing it blatant in your fucking face.
I mean, what
definitely
else
within the realm of possibility. That's what I say.
Exactly.
Like, I wouldn't be goddamn surprised if it was true.
What was that for a second?
They're following the exact same script they always do every time they want to, go after a country. Same thing. Oh, brutal dictator. Look what he's doing to his people. We're going to go in, and somehow they're all countries that, they just either they want to get rid of the petrodollar, or they want to take their oil.
Well, they won't say petrodollar, but what they will say is it's all for peace and freedom.
So take the events of the past couple of days.
Oh, they won't say it, but
you can't exist without other countries. You can't be like Venezuela and exist without trade. And I mean, it's just classic embargo, right? It's like classic embargoism or something, And they did that. They did that, and then they point and say, "Hey, look at the economy. Look at how bad the economy is." It's like, because
of their sanctions.
It's the same thing they do to all the social programs here. They undermine them, they defund them, and then they say, "Oh, look, it fails. It's not working." It's the same thing they do on a bigger scale.
Social Security.
Hold on, baby.
Yeah.
And the irony here is if we wanted a better, more stable economy in the world and better systems in the world, like, we would have established a cooperative relationship with Venezuela, where there would be trains running on time, efficiently, with no chaos, none of this other craziness that's been going on the past few decades, running smoothly between the U.S. and Venezuela. And that's the way that our relationship should have been with them. That's the most efficient way to extract damn resources, if that's your goal.
And the resources should go to pay for something, infrastructure in Venezuela. And it should go to
Venezuela should be a Dubai.
Or building their society, or building, or at least are doing something for the people somewhere but instead it's just going to do something for our corporations, not for us. Exactly. And then the corporations are going to write themselves quarterly checks, or they're going to make quarterly profits in the tens of billions, and oil companies, and then at the end of the year write themselves massive checks and bonuses while everybody's
Venezuela should be Dubai, dude. It should be Dubai too.
They should be as strong and as big as Dubai,
as
with
rich
their
as Dubai.
Resources. Exactly. But they've been oppressed and been, abused, and it's not abused, but more like belittled. It's been the unsung. It's been the unknown secret. They just stuck them in the corner for a long time. Does it make sense? It's like, and now they're coming out. What? We're switching. I'm going to switch spots. I got to go to the bathroom. That beer is getting to me, people.
It's been a long, sordid history with Venezuela, and the minute that Chavez came to power,
right,
the U.S. wheels started turning.
It's been a centuries of abuse to South America that they've experienced. Like, it's been centuries and centuries of exploitation and abuse. So that's what I think makes it painful for me looking at it.
Yeah, you got it, man. Like, it's crazy. These kinds of things happen all throughout Central and South America all the time. And a lot of it is based in this cultural war between the indigenous population and, the people who are descended from colonizers.
And my thing is, we got to worry about what's in our food and our drinks. This national organization,
We should play that.
they have a class action lawsuit with weed killer and alcohol, beers and wines. They say the wines are Sutter Home, Behringer, and Barefoot. And they mention Heineken, Corona, Coors Beer, Miller Lite from Monsanto. Well, it's not Monsanto now because Bayer bought Monsanto.
Everything I've drank.
Yeah, that's crazy. I believe it though.
More than usual.
And it's Sutter Home Pink Moscato that they're suing about. Also.
You're good. Okay, all right.
Yeah, we need more corporate responsibility, and definitely need a stronger justice system, like all around. But
yeah,
I think if they can't pay the extreme exorbitant fines, then they can go to jail like the rest of us. Set the fines to where it be for the public interest and sue the crap out of them.
Well,
other countries do that.
The way the corporate structure here is in the U.S. is it diffuses responsibility. It's hard to send any one person or group of people to jail for doing something. You can sue the corporation, and you can find the corporation criminally liable, but that doesn't mean that you find the COO. The COO goes to fucking prison or nothing. So in the end, there's no responsibility.
If it was illegal, then their money should be at stake, and they should be sued as well. Personally,
they should be I don't know what you've
legally
got
liable and maybe thrown in prison.
You've got a million things up right
People
now.
are talking.
I don't know. You've got like a million screens.
Babe, just hang on.
I'm sorry, y'all. There's just like a million things he's got going on with this computer.
It's a 2 terabyte World of Warcraft machine.
Please stop sharing your screen.
All right.
Is it done sharing? Are we done now?
Yes, dear.
Okay.
I don't know, Chad. What do you think about this Omar thing? I've been following it.
I'm skeptic, of course, but with her, I see a little bit more of like she's really pressing buttons and trying to for some reason, and I'm looking for that to. Obviously, I'm not going to support anybody thinking that they're going to, make the Democratic Party change because it's a corporation that's owned and controlled by, people, whatever, large money. But I liked what she said about Obama and the way that she said it. She said we shouldn't just criticize Trump, that we should obviously, all the smile, where she said smiles and, and a pretty face, a pretty smile, whatever, still doing,
no, don't do that.
Doing
I muted it.
damage. So I'm glad to hear that criticism be spoken upon in a nice way, in order to at least start the conversation, because
OBS is
for the right, even though they may not like her, it's almost like it's going to fuck with them, because they're going to have to agree with her on Obama, even if they don't like her. So I think it's a interesting, interesting situation. I don't know. I'm not sure what she's gonna, who or what she is. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Well, the Democrats were really happy to be able to, say, "Oh, look, we have, a Muslim representative here and that," until she spoke out about AIPAC, and suddenly it's anti-Semitism, and it's not anti-Semitism, not at all. but then they went on the attack. But then, it's like so back and forth. Like you brought up the West Virginia thing, and of course then they're jumping to her defense on that. But at the same time, they're attacking her on the other front.
Yeah. Like, I don't know too much about her because I'm not, like, my focus, I've totally tuned out. I check in somewhat about what's going on. I totally tune out on the Russia narrative, on political stances, and hey, you should be offended about this type of thing. And a Republican said this. Doesn't that offend you? Like, and that's so much of our news cycle that I've totally tuned out of it because when it comes down to the basic level, I don't give a shit who's in office right now. Whoever's in office right now is not doing their job. Whoever's in office right now got there by a corrupt system. So I'm focusing more like on a local level and trying to get people involved and informed about what's going on. And so like the people like the Omar and the Russiagate and all this other stuff and Bernie Sanders 2020. I can't even. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Bernie Sanders 2020. How y'all feel about that?
Let's talk about Act
horse?
Blue. Let's talk about all the sheep giving their fucking money to Act Blue.
Yes.
I'm still going to beat Bernie 2020, but I don't have money to donate to anybody, so that's besides the point.
Stevie, I think that's why you're awesome. I mean, that's what I
Go keep your money.
I totally tune out to the Russiagate. And I basically things like the Omar thing seems like it's kind of just sensational and like it's going to go away and like it's kind of like the Native American guy with the drum and the kid. It's like these little things just bleep up and then go away. I'm interested in the case. I mean, I guess I'm interested if she crossed the lines or went too far. Or like
she didn't go too far. Like how this started. I'll give you a brief synopsis of what happened to her. It doesn't sound like anybody's really been following it. So a few weeks ago, she's a junior fucking nobody. Like she was elected as a token, like the DNC propped her up as a token representative. She gets in there, right? And then like few weeks ago, she confronts Elliot Abrams at this committee hearing. And she kind of gives it to him, right? And like she's a nobody. A couple weeks later, she makes some comments about AIPAC and about the influence. And it wasn't even about that, really. What she said was, I don't want to be on the Foreign Affairs Committee if that means that I have to be an unquestioning supporter of AIPAC. Like, so she didn't even make a direct accusation. It was one of these wraparound things. So they come after her for that, right? And they go, and then they get the Democrats get some blowback from their base because everyone realizes how fucking stupid this is. The fact is, AIPAC should not have this level of influence in our government, period. And I think most Americans are aware of this. So, like, Democrats do a flip through and they're like, oh, we're going to do a resolution that's not just about anti-Semitism, it's about everyone. It's this meaningless fucking resolution. And the only thing interesting about the case, I could give a shit less about Omar or whatever, is the fact that it brings to light, foreign lobbying. I mean, I've always been really against that. It's always been an issue I've followed.
How is AIPAC a thing? I don't understand it. I don't understand. I mean, I guess it makes sense in our corrupt government and that money talks and, democracy walks. But, I mean, when you look, it is astonishing that a foreign country has that much. But we're going to worry about Russia right now. We're going to talk about Russia's influence when AIPAC controls the majority of what goes on in our government.
Isn't the AIPAC isn't that, for my thinking, it's just like everything aside, all the fanciness about it aside, or complexity about it aside, isn't it just so we can have a footing in the Middle East, so we can have a strong footing in the Middle East, so we can have an excuse to be right there in the Middle East?
That's what Israel's all about. It's
and not only that,
in the Middle East.
But not only that, Israel too is also used as a game or a political tool when it comes to Christians and religious shit, because they always they they use that as the cover, basically, as the whole protection of it, especially with super evangelical Christians.
What is the biggest lobbying body out there, guys?
Military-industrial complex?
No.
I would say it's oil and gas lobby, or is it the medical?
Yes.
Is it oil and gas, or is it big pharma?
No, the oil and gas runs everything. And then after that, you have like Israel.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense as to why we're so disenfranchised here.
Yes, that's why we
and
don't
I
have
think,
solar power.
I don't think it's about Omar. I think what she says kind of goes to the heart of things, because it did open this conversation that people now are speaking out about AIPAC, all the things they were, saying. Now it's being heard more. People are, talking about their influence on everything, on our wars, on, so I think it did open a door. It's not about her personally, although they're trying to make it that. It's that she opened this door to this conversation coming beyond just our YouTube videos and,
I admire her statements, and I support what she's been doing. I support people who go after Elliot Abrams. Elliot Abrams should have been in front of a fucking judge a long time ago.
Firing squad.
I don't know who Elliot Abrams is.
This is what I like. I just saw this too. Like I said, I don't know where she is. Like I want to like these people, like the idea, but I just thought it was awesome because she said we can't only be upset with Trump. His policies are bad, but many of the people who came before him also had really bad policies. They were just more polished than he was. And that's not what we should be looking for anymore. We don't want anybody to get away with murder because they're polished. We want to recognize the actual policies that are behind the pretty face and the smile. It's the whole thing about, Obama's a pretty face who got away with murder, All right.
Wow, she said that?
I didn't know she said that. That's crazy.
He's a poser. The guy's a total
poser.
Damn,
I might have to look more into that.
Oh, she's on fire right now.
Damn, okay. I'm gonna have to follow her then.
Yeah.
If she's speaking truth against Obama, that's a big deal. That's a death sentence. I mean, not a literal, maybe a literal if you're in the thing.
Well, you're political, Can you take this off? For some reason, it's not letting me escape my share.
She's smart.
She's smart.
I think she's saying what everybody's thinking.
What does that say?
I think Omar and AOC are allowed to say them things by the Democrats to get the sheep back into the party. I really do.
There you go.
I don't trust the Democrats.
I think you're right as far as a lot of the things that AOC says, although I don't know if she's aware
they wouldn't allow that. They would not allow
it. Well, I mean, Bernie is sitting pretty right now. He's because he obeyed, acquiesced, and did all those things. Like, it was a really good. Maybe it was really just good foresight after all.
Well, but here's the thing: is there's a lot of motherfuckers dying. There's a lot of shit that we could have been moving on if he would have done what he needed to do from the beginning, which is. You can't.
If he would get elected and he was president, then maybe people would be like,
it's not about.
That was really a travesty. What happened? Right. It'll bring attention possibly to what happened in 2016, or he might just say, "Oh no, it was Russia that hacked the election. I was not cheated by Hillary." I don't know, but I think if it comes down to the wire, he might throw up all the WikiLeaks stuff in the election, or I don't know.
No, he's a liar. Of course, he's not going to do that because he's spent this long. He's already shown that he's not. He's not
already shown his true colors.
I don't have no respect.
Everybody that calls him a sheepdog, I think Bernie knew full well that his people were not going to just turn over and vote for Hillary. I think he was well aware of that.
Well, which
party may have thought he would, and that's why they were trying to force him. That's why they were dragging on him because your people aren't doing what you say. And he would say, hey, they have their own minds. You know, so he knew they weren't going to just roll over.
Don't ever.
Well, the point though is he knew they were cheating, and he knew everything that was going on. So for him to do that is even more dirty. Like it's just dirty to say, "Hey, come over here to a place you're going to get cheated at." I'm not going to talk about the cheating. I'm going to ask you to work with these people that are killing you and killing your families and doing this shit.
See, but I think if they try to cheat again,
able
he can
to
bring
run
it
now.
up.
That's something he wouldn't be able to run now.
And
And he was going to be caught. And by not saying it, he was able to still go around
It
and
doesn't
put his
take our
policies.
picture
When he went out
away.
to,
I'm not taking
talk about
away from our
Hillary,
picture.
2 minutes on Hillary, and the rest he was just right back to his policies, getting them out in front of people.
Don't do it. Okay, now.
I just
He would have been silenced otherwise.
What's YouTube? That's YouTube.
And his policies would have been totally shot down.
Well, now,
I understand the
liar.
strategy, but I just think it's a go nowhere strategy.
Well, he's considered a liar.
You're competing against an opponent in the public relations arena who, no matter how much popularity you have, is more powerful than you. They're more powerful than you politically, and they're more powerful than you in the arena of public relations.
It's not minimized,
so when you say that, like, I'm going to compromise, like, Bernie promised everyone that he was going to take it all the way, and like he didn't.
What do you want me to do?
And like when you make,
it's not
and
minimized.
there's lots of
was
instances
right
of
there in the
compromises.
corner.
But when you make these compromises over and over in the pursuit of these public relations and legislative goals,
by the way,
you get caught up in this web, this circular web where the people who you're fighting against run you around in a circle over and over, right? I mean, AOC is AOC supposed to be the inheritor of Sanders?
Yes.
I think Bernie's got it. I think Bernie's got the nomination.
I mean, so far so good with most of the things she's said or done, but what to make of her in the long run, I don't know. She's only been there for a month or two. I mean, I'll judge her better in a few years down the line. Right now, it's, hey, you're just starting out, you're saying whatever, we'll see where you go,
I think
she's loud about her campaign. She's not from the Bronx.
Hold on, Ben.
Shirley, then Ben.
Sorry. Just a second, Ben.
She lied during her campaign. She's not from the Bronx. Her family is. She lives in a suburb. Her father is an architect. Why do you have to lie about where you're from? And the clothes she wear and the shoes she wear, I couldn't afford at all.
Oh, she's an opportunist.
I don't trust her. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Either. She's full of shit.
And then she had that. Like, feel sorry for me, help me get a place to live thing campaign.
I can't afford to have work clothes, let alone real clothes.
Look, how many times have we been through this?
Totally just there, like you guys were saying, she's totally just there to be like the Elon person, just a kind of token piece or whatever, a token left.
I'm
far
the
left
Latina.
I'm the Latina.
But I was just gonna say,
¿Qué pasó?
I think if Bernie got cheated again, he would bring up the 2016 cheating and be like, "No, this isn't happening again."
No, he don't have the balls to do it.
No, well, here's the thing.
Oh no, you better not dare try to cheat me again. Like this time.
But here's the thing. If he's out there saying that it's we have to fight Trump when he's not acknowledging that the Democratic Party, the Clintons, how they beat the fear drum, they pump everything out in the media, and they made him legitimate to the point in the two-party system. So if he doesn't understand the mechanics of it, like he's on the wrong side. You can't.
I think the problem is if we don't get a Democratic Congress too, a good Democratic Congress.
No, it's not about
he doesn't get something accomplished. Well, I'm just saying. I think he would. I mean, I don't see how. Obama did it. Obama pulled it off. He had a Democratic Congress and he didn't do shit. So. But
it's not about having that's the whole. That's the whole point. It is if you're focused on getting a party, when a party's corrupt at the top and they cheat and they don't talk about the voting, about the cheating. That's why the Republicans don't bring it up and the Democrats really don't bring it up, because they're both doing it in their own way and they don't want to shine too much light on it.
It was an
I
accident. I
did-
was trying to.
I need to take off real. I'm going to take off soon, but I just wanted to add something. I just wonder if somebody, the capitalist, like Ron Paul, can come out against the Trojan horse, Venezuela quote unquote humanitarian aid, while Bernie, the supposed socialist, is going to call Maduro's government tyrannical for blocking the Trojan horse humanitarian aid. I'm just wondering, I'm not willing to compromise the lives of Venezuelan people because Bernie wants to. Okay, I'm sorry. Bernie wants to bring in some decent domestic policies, but in exchange, go along with the Elliott Abrams and stuff like that.
Bernie wants to pat himself on the back for saying.
Give Red a moment here.
Okay, look. Bernie, love you, brother. He spoke a lot of truth to a lot of people around in my area. And opened their eyes to Medicare for all and all these different things, and really changed the perspective of a lot of people around here. For that, I give him credit for. But he is totally playing within the paradigm of the oligarchy. He wants to go and talk praise of the Democratic Party that has done nothing for its base. Nothing for its base. They're paid losers. They do nothing. They say nothing. They're headed by people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. They don't give a damn about people like any of us. They're pathetic. They play within the same roles, and they vote the same way as Republicans. Joe Manchin is a Democrat. Please explain to me the difference between a Democrat and a Republican when I live in West Virginia and a Democrat like Joe Manchin votes totally side by side with a Republican. Or California when they vote the same way. And Bernie wants to support these people, and Bernie goes and it totally ignores everything they did in the 2016 election. He's done nothing to fight for election reform. He has done nothing to overturn the actual real problems in America. Instead, he wants to talk about Russia, and he wants to talk about safe topics that the Democrats have allowed him to talk about, like Medicare for all and things like that. But he doesn't get to the real core of the issue. And if they let him win, I promise you, he won't get anything of real substance done. They will overturn everything that he does. And if he doesn't win, that's because he was legit. And I know that seems like a cop-out, to seem like, it's like a win-win thing, but that's how they play things. They already know who they want as their next president. They already know. And they're already planting the seeds. They're already putting their propaganda out there to get us to vote the way that they want us to vote. And it's disturbing. It's disturbing to me that we have people that are already so pro Bernie Sanders 2020 when we've already seen what happened Bernie Sanders 2016. And we've seen Bernie Sanders' reaction to 2016. What did he do? He didn't stand up for us. He stood up for Russiagate. That's what he went with.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Forsaken.
Go ahead, Forsaken.
Anybody who doesn't throw in a little of the Russian narrative here and there isn't going to get a voice right now. But
exactly, that's not how it should be, though.
People get involved, run for office. He would actually specify. I'm not saying you have to run Democrat or anything else, and he would make a point of that. Just get involved, run for office, fight for the policy.
And he agreed that his supporters of social media were Russian bots.
Well, here's.
I just want to say this real quick. Regarding run for office. No, Bernie's a solid Democrat. One of his delegates who became a Green candidate, who was a delegate for him, He endorsed a Hillary superdelegate over that Green candidate who was a delegate for him. We knew. So Bernie's a solid, on the line Democrat. He's not going to challenge him in any way.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Kenneth Mejia, and there was no Republican in the race. In the California race for Congress, it was Jimmy Gomez, who was a Hillary superdelegate, and then there was Kenneth Mejia, who was the Green Party candidate, who was a delegate for Bernie in 2016. Guess who Bernie endorsed? The Hillary superdelegate.
I never heard of either of those people. So
yeah, Kenneth Mejia was good.
Here's the thing. I disagree with the whole thing about he has to go with the Russiagate narrative to have a voice, or he has to go along with these people to have a voice, that they'll cut him out, because the problem is he's trying to play their game rather than rallying people up to say let's change the game. You know, he has a voice. Social media, he was blacked out completely during the primary. He was and he still had the support that he did. It was the day that he said, I'm going to excuse the behavior of these people in order to play the two-party system and fight the other team. And that's, which is, like you said, the Democrat thing. He's a Democrat through and through. So he's playing the two-party system, which shows that you know, again, he's playing, it's all circles. Because if you don't change the voting, everything else you're talking about, you want to change, you can't. Because you can't vote in, you're not getting real representation.
Well, he had a real and rare opportunity in 2016 where there was enough chaos in the political structure amongst the elites. There's enough chaos, like there was enough popular support, and there was a clear reason to challenge what happened at the primary, a clear legal, like, you know, you could take it to court.
Yeah. Well, they had a legal reason too. The legal reason came from Russian. It was the 17 intelligence agencies said it came from Russians, and this was a national security thing. So therefore you can't, you know, it's really sensitive matter, and it, you know, blah blah blah.
Well, he could have challenged it like the day of the primary. Okay. He could have taken it to court, and that's what he said he was going to do before all this happened, and he didn't. And it might have had a chance to succeed if, again, because the political elites and the political structure were in chaos. Like they were kind of competing with each other. Like there was Trump, and there was just enough popular will behind Bernie, so he could have pushed that case in a court.
So isn't it possible though that Bernie, after 30 years of having these feelings of basically being on the right side of issues and being forward thinking, isn't there a possibility that he's just tired of being a spokesperson for these ideas, and that maybe we give him a chance, he'll do better than Obama?
Then
he's not as young and
it doesn't even matter what Bernie thinks. It doesn't matter why he does what he does, how he feels. People waste so much time on this shit. What is Trump thinking? What is Bernie thinking? How do they feel about things?
What are they doing?
Gives a shit.
What
are they doing?
When
exactly. That's the only thing that matters.
Trump was using Chris Christie, and as soon as he got elected, he's like, I'm done with you. Maybe Bernie's using the Democratic Party right now. And then once he has the power of the president,
maybe he's
like,
playing
all right.
3D or 4D chess, but I don't give a shit because he is not speaking to the core of the fucking problem.
Again, and
Obama was playing 4D chess.
What's he using the Democratic Party?
4D chess.
The thing is, he has to in order to even have a chance, he has to balance between not totally alienating the Democrats. I'm not even talking about the politicians. I'm talking about the Democratic base, and at the same time keeping his base. Right. He has to strike that balance.
No,
but here's the thing.
I have to. The presidential level has zero chance of winning because of the way the electoral college is set up. There is no chance right now of them winning. If you get them into lower offices, you get them into Congress, into the House, into other offices, and those people start moving up, then at some point maybe they'll have the chance. But right now they don't, and they're not even.
It doesn't even have to be a third party. Right now we're so organized and connected on the internet. We could do a write-in.
But there's a
Really?
difference between. There's a line. You have to
write-ins
walk.
aren't valid in a lot of states. Like New York State here, write-ins aren't valid.
Okay.
I
That's
have
what I think.
Super
I have to-
quick, and then I'm going to turn it over to y'all for like 10 minutes. I got to step away from the computer. But just really super quick, there's a difference between towing the line with the Democratic Party and then bringing people in. Okay, so Bernie, you know, he had his moment where he could have brought people over to a third party. He had his moment where he was at his peak support, right? But he didn't speak truth to those people. He spoke Russiagate.
He
But it wouldn't
folded.
have been enough people. He could not, no matter what anybody says, he couldn't have won because the majority of the Democratic base, even the ones who supported him,
But you,
No,
but
we're
you,
talking electoral.
but you.
Wait. Just really
Yeah.
quick, I just want to address that. Is I don't think here. That's why I'm stepping away from this whole political, electoral part of it. Is because you look at what they did to Bernie.
There's nothing you can do about it.
When you look at what they did to not Bernie, what they did to us,
Now.
the people that voted for Bernie. That is unforgivable, and he did not speak up. He does not acknowledge that whatsoever. They threw out our ballots. They took our ballots and weighted them for Hillary Clinton.
Yep.
They took our ballots and they wouldn't let us vote because they registered us as a different party. That's what happened. We got cheated. It's not about Bernie. And he claimed that he was for us, and I just... That's a
Don't
bridge
forget
that he
about the
burned.
people who donated to his campaign. Those people
Exactly,
deserve a
and
fucking
that
refund.
money went to
Well,
Hillary Clinton
he
and the
actually
Democratic
still
Party.
has that money. He part of that went into our revolution and the Sanders Institute thing, and the rest of it still had to run this campaign.
You
He started
said
off with 15 million saved from his.
Still, people deserve that money back.
He's using it for this campaign.
But you said that he can't win because of the electoral college. So here's the thing: if you know you can't win, which because of the system, why would you give up and you know say I'm going to support this person rather than going through with the idea and say, look how they cheat. They cheated and then they use the electoral college.
Exactly. He should have at least
And
got on
then-
the podium.
Came away from Obama. Did you
Perfect point,
watch
Chad.
the day that Bernie was called in to talk to Obama?
It was the exact time.
When he came out,
Yep.
that was the exact
Ben's
time
right.
everything turned around. When he came out,
Exactly.
you'd see his face. Whatever they said to him then, that was the turning point.
Yeah.
I think up
Exactly.
until that point, he believed in it. And after that, he wasn't asking, like, make sure you get donations and all this and that. He cut that way back after that point.
There was
Yep.
a
That
fire
was
in
the
him.
turning point.
He had a fire, and he was.
And it got
So-
extinguished.
And that's when that fire went out.
So-
Yeah, that fire went out so quick.
Damn
So
sure.
It was like unnatural. It was unnatural.
So Forsaken, so if you're telling us that he doesn't have the guts and the face with that to go through with it, then why should we support him now? What makes us think that he's, 4 years older, actually going to, now I'm going to actually speak out, and when he still showed us he's not addressing the real issue, which is how they cheat and how they manipulate all this stuff.
He actually has made a couple comments in interviews about some stuff like that. The whole primary was not exactly fair. That was, there was a lot of unfairness in that thing. He said it coming out and.
Well, Chad. I mean, isn't it a little bit? I mean, I don't have a good answer for you, and it wasn't even directed at me, the question. But I think though that there's a matter of the lesser of two evils here, and like in the matter of the primaries, like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden I would far less likely to see it turn out that they would be up there as the nominee. But if Bernie Sanders gets to be the nominee, then there's another lesser of two evils where I think why not give him a chance and get the Trump the F out of there, because that's what I'm for. I mean, we talk about America maybe being like this representative of the world.
Okay, so who manufactured?
America is a influencer.
Who manufactured Trump?
We got the Duterte guy or whatever. We got this guy in Brazil who's imitating Trump. We got
let's break that down. Break that down.
Trying to imitate Trump and try
break
to
that down. Break that down.
It's a bad thing on the world.
Break that down. Break that down. Who made Trump? Who made Trump?
I literally only have a minute of a point to make. It's not necessary to talk about that. So I'm just saying that that we do have an impression on the world, and Trump is this thing of like this anti-environmental whatever the fuck. I don't give a crap on this capitalist green capitalism situation. And I just think it's a bad image. It's a bad trend for the world, and we are still influencing the world. Let's get Trump the heck out of there, and Bernie would be great. That's all I want to say.
Give them their time. Everybody gets their time.
I got this. So I would say who gave us Trump? So if you don't like Trump in there, then you would have to realize, okay, well, the Pied Piper candidate, the billions of dollars of free advertising, the coverage when Bernie Sanders had the empty podium for an hour, the way that they treated him, they beat the fear drum and split, and created the lesser of two evils. And yet Bernie has yet to address the cheating issue, address how that works. There is no, you're like, okay, it doesn't matter if it's Trump or not. All the Democrats have to do is manufacture another boogeyman and be another lesser evil. All they got to do is prop that up through the media. And what you do is you fall back into that same routine. You're like, oh, the lesser. If Bernie Sanders will not stand up to, he's not going to stand up. You're trying to play a game.
I want to build on that a little bit before I take off, because I'm about to take off right now.
Go ahead.
And I'm just going to bring up the Kenneth Mejia, Jimmy Gomez thing again. You're going to endorse a Hillary superdelegate over somebody who campaigned for you, over someone who worked his ass off for you. And you expect me to respect that, Bernie. You expect me to respect you throwing your own supporters under the bus. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh.
I have to wonder, did Bernie even know who this guy is?
Yes, he did. Yes, he
did.
Why
would he go out of his way to support somebody that doesn't need to support if you're like a Democratic, and like you said, there was no Republican candidate.
I mean, Bernie didn't have to endorse anybody.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Instead, he endorsed Jimmy Gomez over Kenneth, who was a big organizer for Bernie in California before he joined the Greens. And Bernie could have just stayed neutral. He didn't have to endorse the Hillary superdelegate.
Tim Canova. I mean, you got the DNC lawsuit. You have a lot of these things. This is a core issue. If we don't have fair elections, it doesn't matter about the whole policy. And if he doesn't stand up to these people about the unfair elections, how is he going to stand up to these people as president?
I mean, I'm disappointed about the Tim Canova. Disappointed about
the DNC emails.
Go ahead, Ben.
Thank you. The DNC emails and WikiLeaks weren't really a scandal attributed to Russia until December or January of 17, because like before the election, they just tried to suppress the whole WikiLeaks thing. They weren't really talking that much about it being a Russian thing. It didn't really start until like December. Bernie, right now he can say they can't really blame him for having Trump in there. But if he would have said, oh, they cheated me, and whined and griped, and then they could have easily made that, and they could still make that now as, oh, Bernie's the reason we have Trump in there. You see, because you can't have your cake and eat it too. It's a double-edged sword. It's he's stuck between a rock and a hard place.
But there's proof. You act like there's not proof in the pudding. Here's the thing: the supporters, you supported, and you saw through the primary, the Bernie blackout. You saw how they treated him. You saw how they cheated. You saw it. And if he had all this support, all these people along that knew they cheated, then why is it okay for him not to speak up? You forget how much support he had. And that's what people wanted. You don't think that people would have fought tooth and nail because the proof was there. And look, all you had to do was look at, even Trump was agreeing with that. Even Trump supporters acknowledged how they were cheating. And even Trump says how they treated Bernie. You would have Trump supporters agreeing. And remember, a lot of people that were Bernie supporters actually became Trump supporters because of Bernie saying, fuck you, I'm not going to condemn the people for doing something because I'm going to be afraid of something they manufactured. And that's the thing. If you got to pick one team or the other in a Super Bowl, you got to pick one, even if it's not your team. That's the mentality when you keep playing.
Or you can just not pick a team at all and vote for Cthulhu.
For who? I'm not. I'm loud. I'm not yelling at anybody.
Yeah, you're not yelling. I've heard you yell. You're not yelling. But
you're like, this is soft. Why are you so quiet, Chad?
The letter of the law said Hillary won, so that's it. The letter of the facts, the on paper, okay, Hillary won. So he, But
they wrote the paper. They wrote the paper.
But I'm just saying that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, how do they violate the treaties with the Indians? I mean, how do they do anything? How is anything done? It's done. How do corporations pay zero tax? It's not done legally. It's not done illegally. It's done legally somehow, right? Like the DNC said, we can legally.
No, they illegally did it, and then they illegally covered it up, and they used the media to manipulate it. And then what they do is the most popular candidate, they put him out there, prop him up, but you say you can't talk about how we just illegally did this and illegally covered it up. And now you're a part of it. You're an accomplice to that illegal activity and helping illegally cover it up. So that's what Bernie is. That's what it says to the rest of the world. You say, oh, what Trump's saying to the rest of the world. You understand what Bernie's really saying to the rest of the world? You're saying you're okay with cheating. With cheating, you're okay with the Democrats manufacturing Ben Carson. It was going to be Ted Cruz or Donald Trump. Beat the fear drum. $4 billion and say, this is the boogeyman. Let's go after them, scare everybody into voting for Hillary Clinton.
Well, let's look at it this way, okay? If we want to talk about Trump, all right, let's look at like maybe what policies would have been like compared with Hillary and Trump. All right, do you think our foreign policy would have been significantly different? The outcomes of our foreign policy would have been significantly different from Hillary and Trump? My guess is probably not. Do you think the outcomes of our environmental policy would be significantly different, whether it was Hillary or Trump? No.
To a degree.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think right now they're undoing all the regulations that we already had.
Only the mechanisms by which these things were undone would change. The outcome would be the same. Like they would continue to extract oil. We'll continue to burn fossil fuels at the same rate. I mean, the list goes on and on. Under Obama, I didn't see any reduction in, EPA standards, for example. Like I didn't see any significant improvement in EPA standards, the water quality. And I wouldn't expect anything under Hillary either. Okay, so
the EPA was MIA for 3 years.
What's that?
There was a Daily Show bit where they're like, this is not a joke. The head of the EPA under Obama was just like, he didn't show up for work for 3 years or 2.5 years.
So the outcomes are the same. The mechanisms by which our environmental protections would be dismantled are different under Trump than they would be under Hillary. But the outcomes
you don't think so under Bernie either, Gardner?
What's that?
You don't think there'd be any significant different outcomes?
Not any significant outcome in environmental policy, no, under either of these two people. How about the economy?
Someone in who was actually concerned and would actually
that Hillary would have?
No, that Bernie would.
But we're not talking about Bernie. We're talking about Hillary versus Trump.
Oh, Hillary.
So we're my point is do you think the economy would be too much different under Trump and Hillary? No. So arguing that Trump is some kind of, game changer is just ridiculous to me. He isn't. He's there as mostly a self-interest signature on a lot of these policies. He doesn't come up with them. You know, they go across his desk and his advisors are like, look, man, these are the outcomes. You got to listen to us. And he's like, how do I benefit off of this? And then he signs or he doesn't sign. You know, Trump is almost irrelevant in many ways.
He's a patsy. And what they do is, because here's the thing, he has his, he talks about WikiLeaks, or he talks about these certain things that's true, in its own right. And what they do is they sensationalize it to the point where they use him as a patsy to connect anything that he says that's true to be false.
And to the wider point, if you're going to make an argument like we need to just get Trump out of office, to me, that doesn't make any sense, because Trump is irrelevant for the reasons I outlined. And there isn't any significant difference between him and basically anyone the Democratic Party has to offer us. Bernie, if he actually tried to implement the policies that he discusses, would be rendered a lame duck president from day one. Everyone would be like, fuck you, Bernie. We're not passing it.
And you don't respect him.
He made a point of you have to not just vote, not just worry about the presidency, but worry about getting people into Congress and that who are going to support those policies.
But how can we do that?
People like AOC who are hand selected. AOC was pulled out of a pool of candidates, out of competing candidates. She didn't even initiate it. Her brother sent this thing in at first, and she went along with it. And for an average citizen, to me, she's doing all right. She plays the game. I wouldn't support her, but she's an average citizen on the shitstorm.
But
I don't really blame her,
So your argument,
but the people that are that you want to get into Congress under a Bernie sphere of influence, who are those people going to be? Are they going to be these handpicked, selected candidates
Tim
like Vulgar and AOC? They're definitely not going to. Well, they're not going to be Tim Canova. Bernie's already fucking kicked Tim Canova to the goddamn curb. So it's not going to be people
there's
like
your
that.
example. That's the Congress that you want. There's Tim Canova right there. And how's it going to happen? What you expect him to do, he's not doing. He's proved it. And to play what game? Their game to say, okay, I'm going to buddy up. He's friends with these people. He may have these ideas, but he's too close. And finally, him getting all this publicity. I don't know. There's probably, like you say, why he does it is irrelevant. Really, is his actions and what it says, what he's not doing as well as what he is doing.
I think Bernie's the clear front runner, and I think that there's a chance that if there's a chance that he will do those things, then it's try to do those policies as Gardner was saying, then it's worth it. It's worth a shot, and then in that point, get Trump out, put him in. But
until Jesse comes in, Jesse Ventura.
Nomination. I personally think he's totally
not going to have any shot whatsoever, really.
Who, Jesse Ventura?
Any third party person is not going to have a real
I don't believe that.
But I think Bernie Sanders is if he tries to push $15 an hour, I think he'd have wide support of that across the country, because blue states are for it because they're for the liberal camp, I guess, almost most time, and then red state people would be totally for it because it'd be such a huge difference in life for them. That could get through. And if that could get through, maybe
what if the voting's rigged, though? That doesn't matter if the voting's rigged and if you vote and you're cheated. What about that?
But how can you believe both? But Chad, how can you believe both things? How can on one hand you say that the voting's rigged, but on the other hand say that the third party's got a shot?
Yeah.
Can't.
They don't match up.
They've got a shot. Okay.
See, I agree. I think that we should support third parties, but I don't think they have a shot.
Okay. Now, technically, yes, but realistically, hold on. But realistically, I don't, because of the way they cheated. And point is the idea is to win and be cheated and to prove the point. Because once you If Bernie would have said, look, I just got cheated. This is our fucking government. This is the bullshit. This is what we need to do. It's time to a real motherfucking revolution. These people need to be in prison. This is what, he could have really united people if he had the fucking backbone or the really intention to do it. So if a third party could win, if you had the right candidate, the one that says, okay, hey, I know how to rally support and say, okay, here, there's so many reasons to say, to grab the conservative, the right, Trump supporters. There's so many ways to do that just based off like what WikiLeaks and what the Clintons and the Obama administration, all these things have done. There's so many things that would put them on board. So for a third party could win, but you would have to go after the Electoral College as far as expose them on a map, and put all their information out as far as who they are, what's going on, to make it, in order to force them to follow the rule of law.
I just want to say that I'm gonna, if Tulsi or Bernie's there, I'm gonna get off my butt and vote in 2020, and if not, I'm gonna stay home again. And that's all. I might just be one little person, but that's my sentiment. So.
But do you think that Bernie or Tulsi is gonna win?
No,
and
of course not.
do you think that if they do win, that they would actually make some substantial change? That's just a real question.
I think they're going to run. You know who I think they're going to run at this point? This could change. Biden and Warren, and it's a losing ticket.
It's gonna. I promise you that the Democrats will run a losing ticket, because that is what the Democrats do.
They'll run a nice, solid fucking. Like Biden has some goddamn connections, of course, and he's got some cash behind him, and he's been there forever. They'll run a nice, solid centrist, like Biden, right? And then they'll pair him with someone to the left to pull in because the left's been pretty discontented the past 4 years. I think their concession will be to give them Warren, because according to them, the Washington crowd, Warren is kind of like this far left, like liberal. She used to be.
No, she used to be. No, he's right. She used to be.
I don't know that she ever really was. She was to the left on certain specific things. And
she's like Cory Booker.
She was really good at wagging her finger at bankers.
She's Cory Booker's mom.
But not actually doing anything to hurt those bankers or to have a consequence to those bankers for their actions. But she could get up there and be like, oh, you did a bad thing. Let me tell you about it. Oh, you should feel really bad.
And that can be excused earlier in her career.
Earlier, yes.
Because she didn't have the power base. Yeah, she didn't have the power base. Nowadays, like that.
I mean, if Chad wants to talk about Bernie jumping to the party, Warren will do anything anyone tells her to. The minute the right attacks her, Trump or a Republican attacks her with some kind of nonsense,
and
they're acting like a little schoolgirl and name calling back, instead of just saying, yeah, whatever I don't care what you say.
Well, she's just too weak. She's too weak to go against.
And when the party says anything, she jumps.
She's too weak to go against Trump. Like, I can't believe that she allowed Trump to bait her into that DNA test. You know what you do in a situation like that? If you really want to prove something, you go take a private DNA test first. You find out for fucking sure. And then you go and you take a public DNA test. Either her advisors suck.
Dabble showed her true character. I'm sorry. But when she sat there and Obama, the Democrat, the big lefty that cares about the environment, sat there and said, well, let's see how it plays out. And Warren sat there and didn't say jack shit for 3-4 months until after it was resolved, until after they were defeated. And then afterwards she came out and said, well, both sides did something wrong, well, whatever. And she gave this meek ass fucking response. That's what Elizabeth Warren is all about. That's Elizabeth Warren.
That was really the breaking point.
Okay.
I mean,
that's what we're going to be given.
I think she really believed that she has,
Seminole.
Native American blood, because if your family's telling you this all the time you're growing up, why would you don't really have reason to doubt it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally get you.
I think she believed it, but
I don't blame
think
her on that.
her whole thing with the DNA test was
But
fighting.
if she was raised to believe that she was Native American, where was she when Native Americans are being hurt like this? When they are being colonized like this?
Oh, hey, who got
where
arrested?
was she? Where was she when she thought that she was I'm so Native American that I'm going to sit by and let Native Americans be destroyed on my watch? Where was she? She didn't do jack shit.
Who got arrested at Dapple?
Not Elizabeth Warren.
It was fucking Jill Stein.
Not Elizabeth Warren.
She got fined for spray painting.
Tulsi went there, did she?
Hello.
What?
I thought I heard that.
So I just wanted to say something because people were saying that Jesse didn't stand.
Go ahead.
But you got to wrap it up real quick. But go ahead.
I just wanted to say something. I just joined in again when I heard Jesse doesn't stand a chance. Well, Bernie, he's not really an independent. He's had the support of the Vermont Democrats. And Jesse defeated both the Democrat and Republican.
He's all Democrat.
And $10 million of fundraising to.
You're talking about a state, though. Do you have any idea how the Electoral College works?
I know that. I'm just saying that in terms of being an actual independent and not having the support of the duopoly, I just think Jesse has more ability in that region.
Oh, and integrity, more integrity.
So,
at least
absolutely.
All I'm gonna say is real quick,
right.
And I know it seems like a win-win cop-out for me, but I promise you that whoever wins will not do anything to benefit us. I promise you, whether it's Bernie Sanders or Tulsi Gabbard or Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden or whoever it is, I promise you, whatever party that or person that we are sinking our support behind right now, it's not going to happen.
Are you talking about what party? Are you talking about the duopoly?
The duopoly.
Well, I don't think any president is going to have enough power to do anything by himself.
Not just the duopoly.
Exactly.
Not just the duopoly, but people like a Jesse Ventura who hasn't fully committed to a Green Party run or a run at all in general.
Not yet.
Okay. He hasn't committed, but even if he does, we have to acknowledge the fact that they have people and powers in place that will see through that he will not win if he actually fully challenges their beliefs.
Of course.
So that's why. What are we at right now? Okay. It doesn't matter who we're supporting, whether it's a Bernie Sanders or a Jesse Ventura or an Elizabeth Warren. I promise you, if they're going to give you something, if they're going to give us something that's going to benefit us, if they're going to do something to upset the status quo, they will not get in that office. If they're going to speak truth to the American people, they will not get in that office.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do about that? What are we going to do?
The big question, what do we do regardless of who's in? What do we do? I mean, I'm with you on we should focus on the issues and not on the candidates, but then it comes down to what do we do?
So everybody does. So hang on. So everybody, it's all about the issues, right? But let's just say there's a person that has a lot of notoriety, has a big fan base that can bring more people in, and the fucking mainstream media will have no choice but to listen to this fucking guy who brings up stuff like, I don't know, Citizens United and McCutcheon versus the FEC, which I know I've brought up with you guys a few times, but stuff that really matters. Stuff like campaign finance reform, which is huge right now, which was passed by the House in a small bill that did nothing. which will never, and they knew this would happen. So this recent bill went through for campaign finance reform through the House, and they knew for a fucking fact it would never make it through the Senate. It's almost like, hey, I can juggle like 1,000, baseballs, but I can't, but it's not going to happen. It's like it just did not fucking happen. So here, the point I'm trying to make is very simple. If you have somebody out there, and that is my biggest reason for Jesse running, is he'll bring attention to a lot that nobody talks about ever. That is my biggest goal. And I know he knows this because he's not going to make it even close to being in the electoral college or being able to fucking run. But if that guy gets on a podium with a few Democrats and a few Republicans, imagine the chaos.
Exactly.
That's the biggest goal.
I mean, that's what Bernie did. That's the only reason why I respect Bernie, is because in 2016,
he made it that far.
In 2016, and even somewhat to this day, he will go out and he talks to people and he opens people's eyes, like I said, about Medicare for all, about universal health care. People around here thought that was a handout. People around here thought a lot of ways until 2016, and Bernie came out and he started talking. He didn't talk to people. He listened to people.
Yeah.
And then he spoke. And then he spoke.
That's huge. Listen first, because you have 2 ears and one mouth?
That's why I respected him. Because he opened so many people's eyes to what was going on and what they deserve. He opened people's eyes to what they deserve. So many people here was willing to sacrifice what they deserve because they didn't want people getting a free ride. They were so worried about people getting what they didn't deserve that they passed up on what they did deserve. And he came here and he talked to people. And
they were conditioned. They were conditioned that way.
He got people on board with that. What I thought would be impossible here, he brought people on board with. And I totally respect him for that. But I don't respect him for the Russian narrative. I don't respect him for backing down and not speaking the truth about what happened.
He's a Piper, baby. He's a prelude.
And I don't respect him for standing down in 2016. Yeah, I respect truth. I respect facts, and he didn't do that.
So here's my play.
Let me
go ahead, Chet.
Because we were talking about actually becoming president, somebody won't become president. So that there's the conversation. I want to kind of point that out. Like, technically we can have somebody become president, but realistically they'll probably cheat and prevent it by these dubious methods. Yes. So my point is, when it comes to Jesse as an example, the idea is to have the influence, because at the height of everything, Bernie had so much influence, and as someone with that influence, he said, this is what you should do, and he led people in order to say, I'm going to, this is not something that you should fight, and which again is the wrong, I think, in the wrong message, because it sends mixed signals. So influencing the conversation still pushes things forward, and that is, you have to believe you can win even if you're cheated. That's the whole point. You could still win even if it's like the whole thing, election was rigged. The Democrats, by what it says to Pied Piper, that what that's saying is that they meddled in the Republican Party's primary. So not only did they cheat Bernie and mess with the Democratic primary, they meddled in the Republican in order to make the Republican nominee be Donald Trump. And that's something, again, people don't break down and speak upon. So the influence of having that conversation and busting out people for what they support, whether by proxy or just because I'm on team D, team R, or whatever, you're not getting anywhere. And when you have somebody that says that, and you have that influence, just like, okay, I like that better. Then that builds the conversation, and that builds, a way to mobilize people. Bernie could have mobilized people, but he chose not to.
Chad, he did. The problem was he got shut down.
Who's donating at least $1 to Tulsi because she has to have a certain number of people just to get her on the debate stage?
That's a ransom. Like, that's another act of blue-related ransom. Like, she is a figure of national interest. She is known throughout the nation. She has a place in our government. She has a right to be on that stage. We shouldn't have to pay $65,000 to get her.
Okay, camera off, camera.
It's fucking ridiculous. They need to change that system.
Yeah, they should. But the thing is that in order to get on the debate stage, that's the rules they made.
And you know what? Like, sorry, Tulsi, but not feeding that system is more important than getting you on the debate stage.
What?
I refuse to feed that system.
I will.
Well,
and that's all there is to it. And that's like the difference between me and Bernie supporters as well.
Right?
Like, Bernie's feeding that system. His supporters are feeding that system. And I just won't do it.
I won't either. Okay, here's what's very obvious is that Bernie has been the cabin boy, if you know what that means, for the DCCCCC or the DCC, the Democratic Party, for a long time. All right, there are people out there that will succumb and willfully give their lives and their souls for more money. And whatever that is, that's their prerogative. But it doesn't help us. It doesn't help the 99%. So you know what? At that point, as being a U.S. voting person in the world of the United States, I'm not going to vote for that fucker. I'm not going to give him my support. I gave that guy $170. I still remember this. I gave him $170, and I fucking pounded the
get that money back
for a couple. Yeah, I did a lot of shit for this fucking. He screwed everybody. Bottom line is this: it's gonna continue unless we get somebody in a different party. Hopefully, it's green for me because the 10 key values are about eco-socialism and taking care of the planet. I mean, it's more aligned where we need to be for the future.
James, didn't AOC come up with the Green New Deal?
No, that is a.
I thought that's the way it went.
There it is. Don't stop. See, stop it.
Bullshit.
Stop it.
Watered down bullshit.
They're here. It's watered down.
How do you like the way they pulled that one off?
I know, right? Because
yeah.
So what?
It's a generic version.
It looked like they really wanted to go and fuck over the Green Party just for spoiling their fucking charade.
Exactly.
By the
Fucking
way,
Eric nailed it.
The qualification for the debate isn't $65,000. It's 65,000 donors and 20 people, and at least
65,000 donors.
200 people from each of 20 states. So it could be 65,000 people each donating $1. But and 20 people and 200 people from each of 20 states.
Yeah, it's 65,000 individual donors.
5 individual donors. 65,000.
I would, if she were smart too. I mean, if she got cheated so bad, she should go try to run third party or independent as well. I mean, you have to have somebody that's willing to say, fuck you to the people that empower it, because sometimes, like Bernie, like AOC, regardless of what you even think about them, they block any real change in the Democratic Party because they're supposed to represent the progressive change or whatnot, but they block real change because they're not talking about the the way they operate, the dirtiness that they operate, because all this stuff doesn't matter if our voting doesn't matter, and if the dirty stuff doesn't matter. You could still run, but you still have to have that as a huge issue to say, look, I'm running, but they're going to do me dirty, and they're going to do me dirty in all these ways. They're going to pull out all this shit on me every time. I went to a Russian karaoke bar one time in Florida. You know what I mean? Like, what you see what I'm saying? Like they've got a whole blueprint of how to operate this system. So if you're not talking about it, and again, that's the whole populist thing that a lot of people that support Trump is because it's anti-establishment. If you find a better anti-establishment,
wait, hold on. Chat. This is something people. He throws out those catchwords, those buzzwords, those hook words. Anti-establishment excuses himself from another anti-establishment, but he's already involved in that. I know you know that.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
No,
I'm
you're
saying
not excusing him. I know you're
right. I'm saying that's the reason, because they believe that Trump's the vehicle to that change. Let me explain that way. That the his anti-establishment rhetoric, that he's going to take them. If he really, it's like Hillary Clinton. If he really wanted to put Hillary Clinton behind bars, the evidence is there. There's a lot of ways to do it, but there's certain things that you can't deny about the weapons and the war crimes, just even assisting in the killing of Yemen. So there's a lot of things that I see, because I'm trying to pay attention, that is their following points, because everybody says, okay, remember, it's the lesser of evil thinking. So they're okay with all this other shit because they're comfortable with this one thing that they're most concerned with.
Well, as far as Tulsi goes,
same thing with left.
Why couldn't the same thing be done with a petition? Why do we need to pay them off? A registered petition and do it. And so but as long as you keep giving money into that system and keep supporting it, they'll just keep continuing to do it.
Because
it's the same thing with It's the same thing with.
You want an anti-war voice so that in there, somebody who's against anti-regime change wars. I mean, she's not 100% anti-war, and that she's against wars for regime change, wars for oil, and you want that voice out there to get out wide public. That would give her that stage.
And remember what happens is if you have somebody that's raising the influence, that's getting people's attention and pushing the conversation, the establishment, Democrats, we're talking about left, really, are going to mimic some of the policies. Obviously, they'll water it down in a lot of ways, but it will push them to the left. So again, the part having you just can't go halfway in order to really move people, because remember, most people are in that two-party system. So while they're propping up their side, they see the two lesser two evils. They see the dirt more clearly about other groups on the other side.
Well, you know what would happen to Tulsi if she makes it to the debate? They're going to go Assad apologist, defend your position on Assad in the Middle East. And the next day on the news, they're going to go, Tulsi didn't defend her position on Assad very well. She didn't defend this very well. They will continue to scapegoat her, even if she says the exact right thing in the debate. Unless she hits a crazy home run, she might as well have hit nothing. Because they will bottom her out in the media during and the lead up and then after the debate. We've already seen the way that they're already using Tulsi as a whipping post. We've seen it. They're either ignoring her or they're spitting at her most of the time. And that would continue.
I'm not even saying it's about Tulsi. I'm saying it's about getting that conversation out there.
That conversation's already out there with or without.
It's out there in the bubbles, but there's the whole bubbles outside that only watch the mainstream news. That's getting it out into the mainstream.
Well, remember, the mainstream media is the representation of the establishment. So it basically is it's designed to create the state of mind, the state of culture, how everything is. It's their mouthpiece. So like everybody starts from there anyways, because that's how they direct narratives and
the whole point is the message that gets out there wouldn't be Tulsi's anti-war message. The message that would get out there is Tulsi is a questionable candidate.
But remember,
that message would be pushed.
Same thing with Bernie, and it's changed the rhetoric.
Tulsi's not a Bernie. Tulsi's not Bernie.
Tulsi's very, very measured and very
she does not have
when they attack her. She's very calm in answering back.
Tulsi doesn't have the kind of like popular or political drive behind her that Bernie did. We can't compare Tulsi and Bernie, and I don't think she's going to be able to obtain it. The Democrats learned from 2016. They're not going to let someone rise up in their own ranks and be like, some kind of Bernie-like force that carves its way through the party. They're not going to allow that. We already have seen it because they're spitting at Tulsi or they're ignoring her most of the time.
But at the same time, there's a lot of people that look at that as proof, to what's going on. You've got to expect that. Like, first they black out, then they smear you, they fight you, they win, whatever. But they do these techniques, and you say they learned. So I think people have learned too. I'm all for the conversation. I'm all for the shit show, and to the point where the conversation forces them to talk about the real issues, which is obviously like everything we talk about. The voting, the cheating, the war, all these main things. Again, through social media, through influence, through somebody independent scaring the hell out of the establishment would force them to have to move towards that in order to protect.
No, that's exactly. Hold on. That is exactly what I'm trying to say. Is Chad is saying very simply that if you had somebody out there that could push a little bit further into and maybe wedge themselves between the two-party oligarchy or the duopoly or whatever you want to call it, and say something. Imagine this. Garden, for a second. Eric, thank you for being here, by the way. Imagine a Green Party person saying, I care about the planet. I care about your quality of life. I care about your sewers and just the list goes on of where the Green Party is, and then all of a sudden everybody's just like, wow. But it's about the stage. As crazy as this is, and I know you guys get this because it's about marketing. So when you have one particular person that gets up there and goes, I've got it. I know how to fix it. So people pay attention and they listen. And some of them say, you know what? That makes sense. Depending on their influences, depending on where they're getting their information from, and depending on how they're influenced. Depending on how they're manipulated in a sense. So we have people that are currently, running our country that are manipulated by big coal, big oil, big pharma, big fucking whatever, big nuclear, name it, fracking, Who the fuck? It's forever. Big insurance. Our biggest goal right now is to put people in office that actually can do what's necessary for us as the 99%. Myself, I know Chad's with me, and I know Eric would probably too, and Forsaken. Just give Jesse Ventura a chance. Let him, I mean, compared to everybody else, I know you guys watch RT. I know you guys, I don't care if he's going after space stations. I don't care if he's going after whatever. Give the guy just give him a chance. It's a different move and a different way of going. But what we have now, what we have right now, I mean, Donald Trump, you're fired. You're fired. That was his fucking job, was to fire people. How many people have left his administration? Record numbers.
Well, and that's the thing too. Indirectly, it's revealed a lot of things because as they're destroying some of these policies, again that people realize that some of these policies did shit before anyways. So it's like what they do is they take all these government contracts because this is the government. We make our own money, right? So everybody wants the contracts. They want the money flowing through them and their friends.
That's always been the way it is. Chad,
that's it.
It's always been the way
it is.
The goal is to separate, and this is my big advocation. It's always been this way. Money out of politics. So the goal is to get rid of Citizens United. People don't even hear about McCutcheon versus the FEC. Nobody even talks about that or even brings it up. But the biggest thing for me is once you take, let's just say I'm Nancy Pelosi, right? And I make, as the head of the Democratic Party in the House, I make $220,000, right? And that's all I make. That's it. That's all I make. But, see, and this is interesting. AOC, and I'm going to say AOC because that's like the big term out there. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. This fucking chick brought in Congress
with the crazy eyes.
Hold on. Brought this very simple procedure that happens all the time. She goes, at any point, you can change the narrative on the way the lobbyists move. Because they come in, I know this is weird. The lobbyists come in and they're from everywhere. They come in and they give you what you want. They're almost beheld to them. Does that make sense?
No, well, I mean it's tribal shit. Like you join a club, you say, okay, boom, this is how we operate. You do this, we do this, and we flow money your way in order to have bigger money continue flowing to our other system. And that's how they use these groups and shit to funnel the money through. I mean it that's the thing is if you have somebody talking about the racket and really exposing certain shit, that's what you have to have people talk about. Like that. I mean, come on. I mean, imagine if he would have been like, whoa, this just came out. You guys cheated. You know what? If this is the way you want to do it, I mean, we haven't had an example of, I mean, of course, the example when people do speak up, what happens? They get their head, but I don't know. I'm going with that.
I know. All right, listen, guys. Garden, thank you for coming on. Garden probably passed out. I don't know where he's
Have a good night, you guys. I'm going to
bed.
Right.
Eric, let me see that super cop I'm going to call you super cop from now on because that was an awesome mustache, dude. Eric.
Glad you like my stuff.
You look
Also,
awesome,
I've been doing a bunch of stuff on my channel, so.
What's going on in there? Talk to me. What's up?
When did Cheryl vanish?
Video game stuff, me stuff.
Can you put it in the notes and tell us how to get there? People want to watch what's going on. Yeah, whenever you can.
Yeah, I do a bunch of stuff on my channel nowadays.
Are you moving and grooving? Good for you. Forsaken. It is so good to see you and be a part of you. How you doing, babe?
Like I said, I'm hanging in there. I've just had a whole
I know it's stuff out there
going on, and
it's stuff out there, girl. I've been there. Chad, hello, buddy.
Yeah.
Chad's going.
Oh yeah. Find out what that you were talking about, that herbal thing or whatever.
Right.
That, find out what that was, and then if it's so I can
Red
research.
Bull.
No, that herbal thing, the pill. You said that was an herbal thing.
Yeah. Well. All right. Here's what's interesting about herbal pills or holistic or whatever. So Big Pharma wants you to think, you know this, our pills work and everything's going to be fine. But when you get something from like Taiwan or the Philippines or Europe, that's wrong. But they have been way ahead of medicine for decades. Which is, people don't even know this. My brother has gout. A friend of mine from North Korea said, give him this drug. Give him this, but it's holistic. It's there's no anything carcinogenics or whatever in it. And my brother has been like playing basketball when he used to be in a fucking wheelchair, in a sense. The sad part about what's happening is the U.S. We're forsaken. We're just very we're fucked up. It's not you. It's not Eric. It's not me. It's not Stevie. It's not. They just don't care about us. They don't give a fuck about. I mean, it's like so in your face. It's like somebody coming up to you and saying, "Hey, Jimmy, I'm going to take this nail. I'm going to shove it in your eyeball." You know, and that's how it is. The problem is our legislators, our judiciaries, and executives allow this. They're not fighting for you anymore. They don't give a fuck. All they care about is the money. And this is the problem is, so at the city level, you're making a couple bucks. You're doing your thing. You're making about 30, 40,000. At the county level, like $2, $3 more. But once you get to the state, boom, you get like a 4, 5, 6% raise. And then after that, if you get to the federal level, it's like double pay. So to keep it and get there, they do some fucking stupid ass shit. And everybody suffers for it. They don't care. Because what happens is when you're in that realm, you're susceptible. You're like, I don't know, do I want to swim right or do I want to swim left? Do I want to like just get oxygen or do I care? So these people that are giving these fucking options, there's a lot of money out there. It's all about the money. That's the biggest problem. Which people don't know. It is about the money. It is totally. It's like so the Dems, the Republicans, and you've seen the debates. All they care about right now is Russia. There's distraction. Eric, who are you watching? Brian, what's the bald guy? What's his name again? You know what I'm talking about, Eric.
HA.
H.A. Goodman. I know. As sad as that is, he's got a good point. His points are almost spot on. He's a little off on some points.
Indictments are imminent.
No, for a second, I'm telling you, he's so close. But the thing is when it comes to absolute evidence, absolute and total truth, in fact, we're talking like, I can feel that grain of sand in my fingers. That's absolute. That's absolute. And he doesn't get that, but what he does is give people the perception that there is a little life out there. As much as he's being negative, which fucking pisses me off, he's very positive. He's trying to get people pumped up. It's like Graham. It's like Ron Placone.
Good to get the information out there, though.
Yes, we're trying to get people pumped up. We're trying to get people active. We're trying to get people to go with what we're trying. All right. My most important goal is so everybody that I talk to, and Eric, I know you know this, and I know Garden knows this, and I know Ben knows this, and I know fucking Stevie knows this, and I know this, is I want you guys to have facts. I want you to have the truth. I do not want to speculate. If I'm speculating or I'm throwing out a laid claim or lying, I'm going to tell you, hey, by the way, I'm lying about this, and this is the way it's going. But the goal of my mission, the goal of my purpose, is to make sure that Eric, Forsaken, myself, and everybody else has a place to wade in the water, a place to go to move through the ocean, just to be without care. Jump in a lake. I'm good. I'm just jumping in this lake. I'm cool. I just want you to be able to be free to do what you want to do on the planet like I did 25 years ago. I jumped in, Eric, I've jumped in and catapulted off so many fucking cliffs and lakes. I can't even say it. I've done so much shit, surfed the biggest waves, all this shit everywhere. But here's the thing. I want you to be able to do that. I want you to be able to give your kids or whoever the opportunity to do that. I want everybody to have that moment, whether it's our kids, your nephews, or whoever. I want everybody to have that moment. It's huge. It's huge. It's epic. It's epic. When you feel that moment, when you're twirling around in foam or whatever. But there are moments in your life where you might undergo a challenge. The challenge for us, Eric, the challenge for us, Forsaken, is that we're going to try to fix this. I want to fix this. I want people to live. I want species to live. I want the earth to survive. And as bad as that is, and as stupid as that is, prosecute me, whatever. But I'm trying my hardest to make that happen with whatever time I have. Eric, I love you. I love you, buddy. What you got? What's going on? Where you been, man? What's going on? May I ask?
Me?
Yes, you. Because there's just me, you, and Forsaken. What's going on,
I've
bro?
just been, playing video.
You always have your shades on. That's Eric. That's cool. But the mustache, bro, that's full cop.
I like the mustache. I decided, what the hell? I'm gonna grow one out and see how long it grows out.
No, but it's a full. It
It's
looks like
messy.
for a second. Is that a mustache? That's a mustache. Looks good. Looks good.
Oh, you're gonna grow it out where you can twirl it?
Right? Go for the goatee. Go for the goat.
Maybe someday.
That's pretty badass.
It's like
bro.
you're already practicing the twirl. You just haven't gotten it there yet.
So I just wanted to.
It's not fully grown.
I just wanted to let everybody know that I am super high.
What are you? What?
What?
Nice.
Will, are you all right?
I'm great.
What did you just say?
I've just smoking so much Mother Mary.
Will,
that,
I gotta ask you this question.
Okay.
Are you Towley by any chance?
Will, I got a question for. So earlier tonight, you talked about your stepfather, dead body.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a dead body someday too.
Aren't we all? Hey Ben. So may I ask you something? And I did not mean to be rude, but I had to go make food and take care of my girl, which I love dearly. Here's the thing. Was he cool? Did he understand you? Or I mean, I
Well, he
know more
was
about.
okay.
You
So he
brought
was the
him up
close.
because you wanted to talk about him. Is he cool?
Well, I don't know. I guess it was just on my mind because I just got back from forming the death certificate.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, did you know him that well, or?
He was more of a father to me than my biological father. I mean, he's the man who taught me how to shave. There's that.
That's huge. That's important.
And yeah, it was.
What else did Will? What else did he teach you?
Well, I mean, I'm a vegan now, but he also taught me how to fish. We used to go fish a lot when I was a child.
This is your stepfather.
Yeah.
Your stepfather took you out to fish?
Yeah.
That's very rare.
Yeah, it was very rare. And, I didn't have much respect for him in life.
Stop with the picture of you in a tux. What the fuck? Get your mug on here. Jesus, dude. It's only 4:51 in the morning. Jesus.
Wait, what? It's like 1 a.m. in the morning here in Arizona.
Right? For me, it's 4:50. That's like 6. I don't know. It's late. Are you good? Are you okay? Are you okay with this passing, moving, and evolving?
It's I've had to
I had to put this on my phone.
Well, I'm not
Charger.
I actually burned her.
Okay.
I cremated her, but it wasn't a professional cremating because she already had worms in her body.
Okay. That's
and
never good.
My family doesn't like worms.
Nobody does, bro. Nobody.
We all agreed that we wanted to cremate. My mother, my sister, I have. I don't want any fucking worm popping out of my eyeball. I'd be dead. So why do I care about that? I don't know. I just don't like the thought.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm saying, well, if I ever have to go, cremation.
Yeah. I just can't stand that, that mental image of worms eating me. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna get my sister, my little sister that my mother had a child with him. I'm gonna get her a pendant that has the ashes inside of it, and I'm gonna get it gold for her, I think, or silver.
Don't talk to her about worms.
I don't talk to her about. She's deaf. My mother's deaf. My stepfather was deaf, and my little sister Sarah is deaf.
Well, it doesn't mean you can't talk to her.
Oh yeah, but I don't tell her about the worms. I don't tell her about the worms. I mean, you'll have to come to that conclusion on her own.
Yeah, I mean, it's
That's
not something she probably wants to be thinking about, you know. So I'd spare your little sister that thought if it isn't in her head.
yeah. But Babu, he didn't want worms in his body. I don't want worms in my body. My mother doesn't want worms in his body, and my sister Violet doesn't want worms in her body. My younger sister, who's in middle school right now, Sarah, she's the daughter of my stepfather and my mother.
So she's your half sister.
Yeah, she's my half sister. I don't like calling her that though. I just call her my sister.
Yeah, that's how most people usually work it. Just your sister, your brother.
But yeah, it wasn't the easiest thing in the world. Even when I was stoned as hell, it was not easy at all. The viewing, no. Ooh, I broke down.
I like how the Chinese say like that you're supposed to like thousands of years ago anyway. They had like all these rituals for like they had a lot of rituals, and it was like if a father died, I think you're supposed to mourn and abstain from any kind of pleasures or find food for like 5 days. I think a grandfather maybe like 12 days. It was like this set amount of time that you're supposed to mourn for different family members. And I think that's the good thing about that. At first I thought that was like artificial, but then I thought the good thing about that was to try to keep you from to like keep things in proportion, right? So that you don't not mourn enough, and then you also don't not mourn too much.
I just don't like mourning. Like for me, I have requested that my funeral be a party. But yeah, I'm not Chinese. I can't stay upset about something for too long because I've already had too much happen to me. My biological father stabbed me and all this crazy stuff. So I turn on the apathy switch a bit. I really do because I have to. And I don't know. I'm bringing all these things together. And hopefully it sticks. Yeah, but yeah, he was the closest thing I ever had to a father, Babu. We'll try to find a place to spread his ashes, or we'll just keep them. Regarding my biological father's ashes, though, I might throw them in the sewage if I get them. So I better not get them.
But James, I like what you were saying about you need to try to make things, keep a good place for the future generations, keep all the like things that we inherited as goods, keep those goods for the future. And like I grew up with migraines myself, and like I wonder what was that a product of? Could it have been from things in my environment or whatever? So like and having like pain and stuff like that, I it's like you want to keep other people away from having to deal with that, right? Like you want things to be better. You want things to be, it's just, I like that sentiment that you were going on about though earlier, James. I liked it a lot. Those are good points, man.
I was the type of child that bit my teacher. It's just, I don't know, just cannabis as an adult has really helped a great deal. And, if cannabis is what I'm going to use to help me get through the death of my stepfather, then that's what I'm going to do.
One of my aunts, one of my older aunts, she was married for 45 years and then lost her husband a couple years ago. And she told my mom, she was like, you know what? I tell you the truth. What's really helped me a lot is marijuana. It's helped me the most. That's what she said.
That's her name, Mother Mary. I just
Mary Jane, baby.
So, is there anything in specific that we haven't gone over tonight that you've seen happen that you think we might not know about, Ben or Eric, or Forsaken?
I don't know, but that's the point of all this, isn't it?
Nothing really.
That's the point of all this, though, isn't it? It's to share, and
Well,
I just think, in a way, Steve's right about concentrate on the issues, not just specific candidates and that, but it's good when they raise the issues and they make them known, and that was sort of my point about Bernie, Tulsi, and that, but that we need to figure out what to do about them, especially if we don't have people in office that are going to take this on their own. We have to figure out what to do.
Well, let me try to build on that a little bit. Because there's been, so I'll just tell you from the point of my social media. Do any of you know a Jim Earl? Does that name just come to anybody's mind by chance?
No.
No? Well, he is a writer at the Jimmy Dore show. And there was just this big Green Party burner fight that happened under one of the posts that I did. And, and I think a lot of what's been happening is people who went green and people who are still burners or people who have been green for a while. I'm one of the rarities in that case. But anyway, so I made this post. I just wanted to get the discussion. And it kind of is a funny meme. Bush will find those WMD, or could you, Forsaken, can you see the screen? Or
yeah.
Okay. Bush will find those WMDs. No, he won't. Obama won those wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. No, he won't. Trump will pull the troops out of Syria. Wrong again. And don't tell me Bernie Sanders is going to end the wars because he was campaigning for a war criminal 2 years ago. And, that's just something, I'm not going to necessarily dig too deep into Bernie. But anyway, Jay Longley, he said, hell, Bernie is the leading war criminal and mass murderer in Congress. And he was just pointing to Bernie's voting record. Of course, he voted against the Iraq war, which is just a rarity for elected officials in general to have done. I think we can all agree on that, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, Jim Earl commented, and he's apparently a writer at the and performer at the Jimmy Dore show, and he worked at the Daily Show before. I don't know. I thought that was intriguing. And it was just a big fight, but I just want to say that Jesse, who is true and true, independent / green / not in the duopoly, has been, having Jimmy fill in for him on a show while Jesse makes the decision to on whether or not he's going to run for president and what plan he needs to devise to do that if he should do that. But yeah, Jimmy Dore has been filling in for Jesse's show for I think it's been 10 episodes now. And I really thought that was fun. I don't know if you've seen that, Forsaken, or
No.
anybody who's watching. Or do you want to get a little glimpse at it? Just a little glimpse?
Sure.
because it is rather interesting.
I mean, if it's okay with James, I don't know if he's.
Well, James is out for a bit, so when he comes back, and
does anybody actually think Jimmy Dore is funny? Because I agree with him on a lot of things, not everything, but I don't think he's funny.
I find him kind of funny. I'm gonna go to his show.
I mean, he's a little bit funny. He's kind of it's kind of like one of those cynical humors. But I mean, sometimes he's pretty witty. Like sometimes he does throw out some stuff that seems like a little bit witty, and it's like a little bit of a joke. But it's like more. It's like 20% humor, 80% comment, like politics and commentary. I don't know. He's not as funny as like Jon Stewart or something, or John Oliver or something.
I know they're funny. I mean, even if I disagree with them on things, or I see them as, just talking Democratic, whatever their narrative is, they're still funny. He's not. I don't find him funny.
Or like Tim Black was trying to do the whole comedian thing, and I don't know. I mean, I guess though that like. You know how therapeutic it is when you hear like Jon Stewart or like, you hear all the politics broken down, all the propaganda broken down for what it is, but you're also laughing. It's like therapeutic, and it's probably also therapeutic for themselves. Like if you're dealing with political content all the time and you can actually kind of tell it through a comedic lens, like it probably helps yourself like stay cool. Like kind of like when Dave Chappelle says something and it's so like deep and really, he's talking about something really, really great, but then are really heavy, but he's so casual. And he's so laid back, and like it's because he's funny. It's because he's, I don't know. It's like the way that their perspective is that, like staying calm and not getting upset and
nuclear arms control.
Very good.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen Jimmy stand up. I've seen his show, but on the show he's not funny.
Well,
I saw his stand up in Portland. I remember laughing quite a bit. It was more like the comedic relief thing, right? Because you tell a joke, you feel like, there's something that has been on my mind, and like it's a relief to hear other people say these things that I've been thinking. So I don't know how I was laughing, but I was definitely laughing.
So I just want to show you just like a little few seconds of it, just to show you an example of it, and then we can get back to talking.
I'm Jesse Ventura. Stay vigilant, question more. Welcome to my world. Come along for the ride. The world according to Jesse.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Dore filling in for Jesse Ventura, and today we discuss the fate of the U.S.-Russia nuclear arms control treaty and reveal the findings of a Senate intelligence report on alleged collusion between President Trump and Russia.
Yeah, that's just a little example.
It's a very little example.
Well, I didn't want to take up like all of our convo time with that, but just for something, it's just something for people to check out.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I like to put out quotes. I like to say, oh, that's like this quote, and then I pull out my notebook or pull out the book and look for the quote, and then I already like stinted the conversation or something. Like the conversation, the flow of the conversation like stops. I'm like, oh damn it, my bad. It's better to paraphrase, unfortunately.
Actually, I watched part of Jimmy Dore earlier. I didn't see the beginning, and then I was on the phone, and for the rest of it, I saw a chunk in the middle.
I mean, but yeah, his rhetoric is spot on.
I mean, Jimmy's coming to my.
About a lot of things. Like I said, not everything, but a lot of things.
I mean, Jimmy's coming to my state in May, and I just got tickets.
Nice.
Yeah, I enjoy Graham's show more.
Yeah, I watch Graham's show a lot. I didn't know. Yeah, I watch his show. It's on Sundays, right? I think he'll be on tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I mean, is it Sunday? Yeah, because he wasn't on today, so. But I know he switched to it on Saturday, then Sunday.
Well, he's on tour. He's on tour right now, so I don't know if he'll be doing it still on the weekend. But I like him too. But it's like I guess before I thought like, is it just job security though? Are they cool like either way? like even if we don't get a change in 2020, like, and I guess it's realistic to say that we probably won't, but I mean, like, for some reason, I guess I feel like sort of resentful to all these media people who are like, they're just like, they're good either way. Like, they got their job, and even if we don't have anything beneficial or any tides turn for us in 2020, they still got their job and they can still rant and gripe and have good rhetoric. But I mean, I don't know. I want to see something happen like right away. I'm just so eager for change.
I know we really, really, really drastically need change. But I want to bring up something. I mentioned it. I jumped on to Iban's show, when Iban was talking one night, just to mention this, and I kind of wanted to get around. Okay, so I can't stand Trump, and I hate Pence even more. I mean, he scares me even more than Trump. But there was Pence gave a speech at the conference. What was it? I don't know, a conference in Poland, was it? Or Germany a couple weeks ago. And then they had a thing where I saw a video. Jimmy Dore had a video, and he was going on, or was it Jimmy Dore? Or no, I saw a headline, something somebody said on Twitter, but I couldn't play the video. And then TYT had, I went to look for the thing, and TYT had a thing, so I played that, even though I don't watch TYT. And they're all laughing, and because it's saying nobody, when he mentioned Trump's name, nobody cheered, and then it says, and then when he said about pulling out of what was it now? The Iran treaty, and when he told everybody that it's time to pull out of the Iran treaty, and nobody cheered, and of course I'm not really for pulling out of it myself, but they said, oh, he was met with silence and that. But then something struck me about the videos was that the first video where they said nobody cheered for Trump, he had a blue tie, and then the other party had a red tie, and I'm like, well, this doesn't seem right. And they didn't mention, it turned out it was two different speeches. But I went and I saw a CNN clip, or I think I saw the CNN one first, and it just struck me as odd that I thought I heard a snatch of clapping in the beginning, cut off. So I went and found the whole video from C-SPAN of the whole speech. And sure enough, when he mentioned Trump on the first, what turned out to be the first speech, like in the morning or something, they didn't clap. There was no, there was silence. But on the other one where he talked about it's time to pull out of the Iran treaty, there was some clapping, and they cut it off. And then they played it as he was met with silence.
Well, either they like conflated and like exaggerate, like they just said, oh well, it was practically silence, and like they just were either that, or that or which is quite possible, I think, is they're that audacious and they disrespect us so much that they think of our intelligence like it's so little, like, you know what I mean, you know what I mean, you know what I'm saying, like that, like they think of us so little that they don't care, that they think they can get away with it, because like I think we're such idiots,
Yeah, that's pretty much what they think, and they just said, "Oh, he was met with silence when he said this," and it wasn't true, because when he played the whole video, they edited it. And the other thing that struck me about it was the video that they were showing was very low quality. Now this video was CNN. They could have gotten the actual quality video from C-SPAN.
They are there to tell us what we think. They are there to give us a very strong suggestion of what people think. Like, here's your impression of what actual people think out there. So like when they do those things and they tell you nobody clapped, it's like they're trying to suggest to you what the populace thinks, what the consensus is, what the peer pressure is of what everybody's thinking and what everybody's has a consensus on. And that's really powerful if they can relay that and get that across. You know, if they can suggest that to us, you know, and like once you believe that and you think that, I mean, it's like game over. It's like it's kind of like in a primary or something. They tell you who's the front runner and they tell you who the people like, and then when the outcome is that person, like, even if they were cheating, even if it was election fraud or something, and the outcome says, oh, that person won, well, okay, then they tell you that, you know, the election was fair and that person won, and that it's like it's the media controls, you know, every point. It's telling you what to think and what you're seeing and what everything is. And I'm just so skeptical of them. And we've seen it. It's kind of like we were saying with the politicians earlier. What people were saying is we've seen it. Chad was saying we have plenty of evidence, you know, to pick from to say that Bernie should have. It's kind of like that. We've had plenty of evidence against the media to see what all the bullshit the media is doing. And I think online, the internet, you know, like things like this, whenever the WikiLeaks first happened, you used to be able to find, you know, everything on the WikiLeaks, a lot of the damning emails and things. You'd have screenshots all over Google Images, and then they like became like less and less, and they were really tiny, so you couldn't really see them there clearly. And now like they're almost gone now. Like you can't even find good screenshots or good, you know, articles about the actual things in the WikiLeaks. It's just obscured. And there was a thing that happened with Greece where the IMF, it was the WikiLeaks revealed like 6 years ago that the IMF was messing with Greece and on purpose, like trying to wreck their economy, make their economy look bad, to make their leftist government look bad, who was this really progressive government that got elected in Greece. And they did it on purpose. They were crashing they were messing with their economy on purpose, and then pointing at Greece saying, look at Greece fail. See what a far left government does, it fails. And, you know, and I try to look for it, and it's basically all just like hidden on the internet. It's so hard to find anything about it. And, you know, you can't find anything about WikiLeaks. And it's of course, we all know it's very eerie that, you know, you can just rewrite history like that right in front of our eyes, you know? Or, you know, they brainwashed so many people. That's what you and I understand. They brainwashed so many people that Bernie had to speak to those. You still have to speak to those brainwashed Democrats a little bit, throw them a bone so they can humor the possibility of supporting you.
Yeah, well, what they were doing there, they were trying to push a narrative. This was the clip I saw was Wolf Blitzer. It was you know, like a 3.5-minute clip or something, and it was trying to push a narrative because that video was heavily edited. And
it's very suggestible. It's very clear direction.
You know,
like they're clearly suggesting something, like very, very clearly, like they're suggesting something very precise, which is, you know, this reaction of of regular people or of just a general consensus. Like that's very, very purposeful.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the applause there wasn't even like, you know, big, you know, major enthusiastic applause. It was probably just the American delegation clapping, you know.
Yeah, and then they could have wrote it like honest. They could have done honest journalism and wrote it like said something like, and even on the big, supposed to be a big issue where the Republican with widespread support for the ending the Iran agreement, it was met with a lukewarm response. Like that would have been good journalism because that would have been fair and you know, it would have been sort of like you trying to paint it away, but it was fair. You know, it wasn't disingenuous or outright fraudulent. You know, which is like I just don't think that they believe that we're worth it. Like they just that's what our worth is in their eyes, is like, you know, we deserve to be, or the ends justify the means. Like, you know, edit something.
What? Eric was waving. I don't know what.
Oh,
He's freezing up though.
I was actually gonna head on out. I'm getting pretty tired. Wonderful night and take care.
Okay, good night, Eric. Good to see you.
Bye bye. Good to see you too, guys.
But yeah, I blame the media. I think we need to have a stronger media, like a center for our whatever alternative media or whatever. Because I mean, Jimmy Dore gets like 500 live views or maybe 20,000, I don't know, views, but then, you know, MSNBC, they still get 20 million. So it's such a pale in comparison type of thing. I mean, maybe RT reaches more people. I don't know, but I blame the media. I think in order to have a third party or have a stronger left, like a stronger, like further left, then we just have to have a better media. Because as long as we're watching Bill Maher, as long as we're watching Fox News and CNN and MSNBC like en masse, then we can't help what we think, the way we're thinking, and, you know, simple crap.
There's still a lot of people who don't have internet. There's still a lot of older people who only watch TV and don't look at anything on the internet. There's still a lot of people who live in areas where internet is bad or they can't get it, and there's people who can't afford it. So all they're getting is what the mainstream is pushing.
Wow. Oh my God. And yeah, and then people who just are too busy anyway. I think a whole other large segment. They're just literally too busy. Or it stresses them out, poor things, bless their hearts. Like it just it stresses them out. We're just strange creatures that have a strange resilience for it, I guess.
We're
endurance.
masochistic.
Right. We get to have our day. I mean, most people, even politicians, even Bernie Sanders and Jill Stein, take 2 years off before they start show their face in public again.
Right.
We're at it.
I say I'm
Worried
not
about all the
even
time.
gonna look at this political stuff today. I'm just not doing it at all, and it's like, oh well, I'll just watch this video. I'll just do that.
Yeah.
Before I know it, there's half the day gone, and I've been reading news headlines and watching videos, and
It's too late. Yeah, you've already got your fault. You already follow the people and subscribe to the people that you do, and you have to ditch all of social media and YouTube, really. Wouldn't you? To ditch, I mean, or unsubscribe a lot, But I don't subscribe to very many people anyway. I mean, basically, I only subscribe to Lee Camp and Jimmy Dore, and that's it. Like that's about it. Graham Elwood, in terms of politics, that's
Graham
it.
and Jamal, Let the Madness Begin. Jimmy Doors, but I only watch it once in a while.
Let the madness begin, huh? Okay, I'll look at that one.
They're on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 Eastern, I believe. And
Yeah, I find Jamal a little bit like long-winded and stuff. So like sometimes he's like long-winded. He uses like big words unnecessarily. I don't know.
I enjoy Jamal because, especially if I'm not in a real want to deal with politics and he digresses a lot, and we end up talking about Star Trek and different things. And to me, it's kind of a breath
Well, that's cool.
that sometimes you just have this break in the middle of it, of talking about something entirely unrelated.
Yeah, that's human. That's very human.
Yeah. So it just kind of like gives you that relief from constantly being pounded. So he'll talk about an issue, but then something will distract him, and we'll all get into comments about Star Trek a lot, or other science fiction stuff, which I'm a big science fiction fan. So that kind of works for me. And then he's back to another issue. Then but it's you have that.
I think several YouTubers do that though. I think like Uncle. Well, I don't really watch Uncle Hotep anymore, and that's kind of an odd one, obscure one maybe, or right wing. But there's several YouTubers I think that do that. Like I think even Tim Black kind of goes talking about personal stuff, or talking about society and I don't know, culture, just life. I think Graham Elwood does that a little bit.
Yeah, he does that sometimes. He'll talk about it, things in his life, or just sometimes other stuff. But I mean, Jamal does it big time. He's back and forth between an issue and and everything, and it's
just goes wherever it takes him. He just goes. I'll have to check him out again. All right. I mean, because maybe I think my impression of him is just when he was just starting out, like the first 6 months. I think I followed him, maybe first 6-8 months, something like that. So I think I got to give him another chance then. And you said the other one was called "Let the Madness Begin."
Yeah, Let the Madness Begin. It's Mike and Will, and yeah, the show's roughly 2 hours. Sometimes it runs longer, and they usually have several topics that they cover, and sometimes they digress a little bit too. But they'll cover like different news stories, some about police brutality, some about whatever's going on in politics, whatever the stories are and their take on it, and then they do take calls and that too. So
okay. I would say I don't know how I found these guys. It was just like either YouTube just had it like as a next video and I found them, or like I found them on Twitter, or they may have subscribed to my YouTube channel and then I subscribed. I don't know, but I found them somehow. It's called Hard Lens Media, and it's really
I just found them.
Yeah, it's really small thing, but I think they have some integrity and some promise. So I was just gonna reference them. Okay, you already.
Yeah, I just found them like earlier this week, and then like the day after that, they were doing they did a Bernie rally thing. I think they found it because they turned up in my recommendations.
Okay.
But
Yeah. Well, they seem like they're working hard, and that's important. They're ready to work hard.
Part of their show is national issues, and then part like local Chicago stuff.
Well, and because I remember they were covering the Chicago mayoral election closely. But they're also a team. I like that they're a team. Somebody just followed me on the Twitter today, and then I followed them back. Okay, I'll follow you back, and then they like said they sent me a link to the YouTube channel. They're like, and I forgot. Hold on, one second, real quick. This is really funny. Can you hear me? You can still hear me, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so this guy, he sent me a link to his YouTube channel. He says, "Subscribe to the channel. I represent the progressive movement to the fullest." And it's like, nah, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for the we, man. I'm looking for like the people who do. That's what I think the people who really get it, like people like that Hard Lens Media or whatever. People who are actually making a company, working together. You're gonna have a better product. I'm sorry, but like we're all flawed creatures and we're all flawed beings, right? Like don't we need each other?
I'll tell you this.
Don't we need each other
I'll
like
tell
to
you this.
balance things and not have our quirkiness come out?
I'll tell you this, Ben. I am the emperor of the world. Okay.
Diogenes
I'm the empress of the universe, but yeah, somebody else I like. He doesn't do live streams, but I like his take on things and that. He just does like little short videos, but it's Bow of the Fifth Column, is it? Bow of the Fifth something.
Is it fifth like letter 5 or number 5, or is it fifth spelled out?
I think it's fifth spelled out. I'm trying to look for him in my list right now. Let's see how it's.
I tried to start a video. I tried to start a channel where I was like doing video, and I was thinking I was really gonna do it and try to mix like perspective and try to mix like the trending topics and try to mix just like just talking about life and blend those two things together and whatever. And I did one like just introducing it, and then like the next one I started writing out, and then I wrote it out, and then I was like, oh, now this is like a essay. Like it just did, I don't know, but I feel like I would rather do something like written out than do something off the cuff, because off the cuff, I don't know about off the cuff. I mean, there's something really great about it, like just letting the conversation flow and like letting just saying coming from the heart and just speaking your mind. Something great about it, but I think the preparedness and the presentation is like more respect for your audience and the people that you are going to be consuming your stuff. Like yeah.
Oh, so it's Bow of the Fifth Column, and it is fifth spelled out.
Okay.
FIFTH spelled out.
Okay, I'll check those out.
But
well, William, what do you have, man? What do you have for us? What YouTube channels do we need to know about?
Well,
YouTube channels.
Websites, media companies.
Ooh, I think I have let me see what's actually let me look at my notifications actually.
Everyone needs to know about James Y. Mana Talk.
I think I've heard of him somewhere.
Well, I mean, it's crazy though, right? Like, isn't it crazy that there's probably things like there's probably tons of people who'd be interested to like come in here and chat and join in these chats, like tons, like thousands that would be hypothetically interested. I mean, I'm just saying, like for things like that. So it's just weird how disconnected everything is as it's connected.
Yeah, if thousands came in, you'd really have people talking over each other.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, so like one thing I was thinking about and thinking about like video versus podcast versus written medium, whatever, is like, well, what if there are people out there that like, if you said, oh, you have to do video, like what if the people that aren't comfortable with that, then they wouldn't bother, or like what about like, I mean, people are like that they don't have an audience, so they don't bother, and it's like, what could you do to encourage them to say like, well, bother, you know? like there's probably like people out there that really would help a lot of people if they would speak their mind and join in discussions and like, you know, share their knowledge, experience, insights, so forth. A lot of people that, you know, can like,
So
yeah,
I have a channel that I can say that tickles my funny bone a little bit, even though it's not necessarily intelligent content, or it kind of is in a way, but it's absurd.
It's not intellectual, or it's not political.
Well, it's absurdist. It's I guess it's kind of and smart, but it's also absurdist. Let me show you. I've been watching him for a long time.
There's a lot of buried gems out there. Like there's a lot of great channels and great things out there.
You know,
so it frustrates me. I'm sure I'm gonna find stuff like 5 years later. And I'm like, oh, why didn't I know about that when it first started? God.
But anyway, this is his channel, The Amazing Atheist, and he is a Bernie supporter. So don't accuse me of being anti-Berner. And he's funny. He's funny. I want to show you this one real quick. I'm telling you, this one could I think this would probably get you. I don't know. Let's see. Okay. Okay.
So I'm about to make a really stupid video. That's why I'm wearing my fedora. You can pretty much, when I wear this, it's like a signal to you, like, don't take this too seriously. But so the Sonic the Hedgehog movie is coming out soon, I guess, and we've seen a few glimpses of what Sonic's going to look like, and the internet immediately was kind of just like, yeah, I'm not really sure about this. Well, now images believed to be the general design for the upcoming movie have been revealed by the website Hamagami Carol, a marketing firm who may be gearing up to promote the new design in preparation for the upcoming film. And it's not been 100% confirmed that this is going to be the official design, but if it is, holy fuck is that ugly! What the fuck have they done to you, Sonic? You look like Papa Smurf's pubic hair. You look like Will Smith's genie mated with one of my cat's fucking hairballs. Fuck! I mean, like, have you ever seen a character design so fundamentally misunderstood? Even bad fucking deviant art Asperger people who draw Sonic fan art with MS Paint all day understand the fundamentals of this fucking character better than whoever put this fucking blue pile of fucking puke out there. They've stripped the character of everything that made him unique and arrived at this generic design that's only notable for how creepy it is. Someone combined this new head design with the body design we've seen in other previous promotional images, and they've come up with this render of what Sonic's full body would look like. And I hate to talk about making like puke jokes like twice in the same video, but like, bleh, fuck me. What am I fucking seeing here? If I saw this in a nightmare, I'd die of a heart attack in my sleep. If I saw this in real life, I'd spend my days in an insane asylum, like crying in the corner of a padded room and trying to escape my straitjacket in order to do some self-harm. Like, what?
Yeah, that's a sample, another sample.
Hey, you know, he's tearing it apart.
Why?
It kind of looks like Spider-Man wearing a Sonic suit.
I don't know if it's necessary to get that upset about it, but yeah. Yeah. It's not the best.
Well, again, he said it was going to be a stupid video, and that's why he's wearing a fedora.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Definitely, I love comedy, man. I like Paul F. Tompkins and Scott Aukerman a whole lot, and like there's some other guests and coworker like Eugene Cordero and like what is that guy's name? Like Thomas Middleman, and what's Andy Daly? Andy Daly is just so funny, man. So funny. But yeah, like comedy is amazing.
Yeah, actually,
Neither
not
was.
so much comedy. Well, sometimes he can be funny sometimes, but the Amazing Atheist made me think of a channel that's sort of atheism. It's Cult of Dusty. Yeah, he's pretty good.
Oh, he went off the deep end, Cult of
What,
Dusty.
what's his name? What's the name?
Cult of Dusty.
Okay.
I mean, he went from being a Trump apologist to being a Hillary apologist. Well, first he was a Bernie. Okay.
He hasn't really talked about politics in the videos I've seen. He just mostly talks about the foibles of like the religious, religious.
Well, I just remember his channel for a long time. Like it was just so politically bipolar, more bipolar than me. And it's just like, he's a Bernie supporter, and then he's a Trump apologist, but not a supporter. But he's a Trump apologist, and then he's a Hillary apologist. It's just like juggling so many things.
I can be kind of a Trump apologist, and I don't care that I am really.
I mean, I can be too. I mean, I'm not going to deny it, but yeah, I guess
No,
I think that's the difference between.
I think he's there to scare China. I think he's there to like open up natural resources because in 15 years, there's going to be like international. There's going to be like definitely laws, or furtherations of like regulations that prevent people from just fracking under the ocean and stuff and things like that. And they just want to open the valves on that right now, and then let China and India do all the work on building the next generation of solar panels so that we can just steal that technology from them, like they stole so much technology from us. It's like that's just like Trump is strategic. He's the guy that like people are kind of a little bit scared of because he's kind of a wild card. Maybe he means what he says, and like he was just like, that's my way to apologize. Well, there's I guess a couple ways, but that's.
I mean, I just I just think that there's a line between like people who
you made like Obama happy with like you made like black people happy with like a black president. Now you want to make country people happy with somebody that, even though he's from New York, feels like it's their guy. Whatever.
Well, okay, so I was saying that. Oh, I just lost my train of thought.
I apologize that meant with you.
Okay, so I was saying that there's a line between people who see the things that you're talking about with Trump, and then just people who are in the QAnon thing. Oh my goodness, it's a psyop, QAnon.
Yeah, I don't know how they think Trump's this like guy that's gonna. Yeah, like Zach Howler is a guy that just thinks Trump's going to come and save them, and he's this hero. Or this guy Anomaly, he thinks that Trump is just so cheated against, and he's a complete outsider. He's a complete outsider, and he's this complete like maverick, independent guy that just doing everything, and he's persecuted.
Oh my goodness! Let's talk about Zach Howler. Let's talk about Zach Howler for a bit, because I think that's a topic worth a little bit more discussion, because this guy sent me a friend request like I think a year ago, and I sometimes just get so close to defriending this guy because he's into that QAnon thing. He's spreading the psyop business.
Well, I think what it is that honestly these people, they start getting like I guess. It sucks to not have a voice. It sucks to not have any like minuscule reach or virality or influence whatsoever. But once you get to a certain point, it might suck in another way. Like, oh shit, now I'm in this. Oh shit, like now I got this other pressure, much tension, And like, so I think that when you get to that point, you get more nervous and you get more paranoid and worried and like, and really it's just god darn comforting when you have a side. So it just feels cozy and like a haven, like, ooh, I got my side. Even some people feel it with the Green Party. Some people, I think, when they become disenchanted, jilted Democrats, they go over to the Republican side. And it's like a side. It's like you got a side, like our side over here. Like you just feel like you're a part of something. It's safer to be in one of those two wings, That's what I think it is. That's what kind of ism it is.
Ben, have you ever looked into. Okay, I need to bring him up because it was on Jesse's show, right? And Jimmy Dore had the guy who wrote the 48 Laws of Power on, and they had an amazing discussion about tribalism. And that's the ism you're talking about, right? Tribalism?
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. Why not?
So yeah, they were just they were getting into that. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna bring that up and we'll watch a few seconds of that. See, and we'll get you. I want to get your guys' take on it. It's good to have good to have collaborative reactions to things like this.
I think we should do a collaborative reaction to that, like, chopped up CNN video that Forsaken was talking about. I think that'd be worth tearing apart.
Oh yeah, that sounds like fun. Let's definitely try to find it.
Yeah, well, you can find on C-SPAN, and then you can find the complete one, and then you can find that somebody made a clip that was on there. Actually, I have links to it in my email because I emailed them to Yvonne. The clip that showed them actually applauding there.
Do you think you can put one of those links in the Zoom chat?
Yeah, give me a second.
So I'll just play this while you get that set up for us.
Okay, let me go to my email.
Ventura. Stay vigilant. Question more. Welcome to my world. Come along for the ride. The world according to Jesse.
Earlier, I spoke with New York Times bestselling author Robert Greene. His books include The 48 Laws of Power, The Art of Seduction, and The Laws of Human Nature. We talked about the concepts in his books and how they relate to global politics. Take a look.
The world according to Jesse.
Robert, your books are popular all over the world. Global leaders, celebrities, pro athletes, and regular people like me seem to love them. What draws people to your work?
Well, I'm sort of classified in the self-help genre, and I think a lot of self-help books are kind of soft and squishy. They sort of maintain this image that the world, everything is kind of good in the world, and if you just follow these simple rules and you're nice and you're decent with people, you'll rise to the top. And I find that a lot of BS. I think this world is kind of a harsh place. It's very competitive, that there are ruthless, amoral people out there who can be very manipulative. They tend to rise to the top. They're the leaders in Hollywood, in business, and politics. And you need to be tough. You need to toughen yourself up. You need to understand that this is how the world really is. And I think a lot of people really relate to that. They're kind of tired of all the sort of babying that these books give you, and I kind of tell it to you straight. So I think that's the appeal.
So what do you think about, it's more of a dog-eat-dog world, right? And
to a degree.
To what you're kind of saying, and you have to be, what about cooperation?
Well, that's a very important part. I talk in my new book about empathy and the ability to get along with others and work with other people. So in my new book, I emphasize that because you're not going to get very far if you have really bad people skills. You need to be seductive. You need to understand other people's psychology and treat them as individuals. But at the same token, you have to be aware that there are toxic people out there. It could be your boss. They could be that scheming colleague. It could even be a loved one or your children or whomever. And you have to understand, you have to be realistic that there are some people out there who are completely out for themselves.
Okay. That's just a little clip from that. So if we can get some of the regards on here, see that's okay. So we got some of the links in here. That's good.
I didn't hear that last part because I was looking at the chat. What did he say at the end?
Oh, just how there are some people who are out for themselves. I don't know if you want to watch more or if we want to get into Forsaken clips, because I do want to see those too.
Oh no, I was just saying, yeah, as far as breaking things down, yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of value in that, and there's a lot of value in just your referencing them, sir. William. I mean, there's a lot of value in just that point itself. Just like, hey, oh, you said this, and now, hey, I know something where people were talking about that same topic, you know, rather than having everything be so disintegrated and so separated from everything else. It's like, it's nice to like say, oh, you know, here's this topic we're talking about, and by the way, it was discussed over here as well, and this is what they had to say about it. And instead of like even just paraphrasing it, like just go look at the thing itself. We have time to do that, and I mean, if we have time to do that, and we have time, it's really valuable, dude, man. I mean, like it's just really, it's all valuable, and it's all very, very cool, I think. So
I just want to see this go into the tribalism, and then we're going to play Forsaken's links.
Yeah, I don't know if you should play the CNN and TYT clips in here because they're really
I think
copyright and stuff.
Yeah. I think we're safe playing the TYT one because, again, we have Jimmy Dore on here. And, you know, Jimmy doesn't mind that stuff.
Anyway,
but
we can just chat, doesn't it?
Probably does. He's, you know how he is.
I was saying it'd be cool for somebody to make a video specifically about that. I mean, I was kind of thinking originally it'd be nice to just somebody just make a video about it, like the actual video on their YouTube channel, and just dissect that and take it apart and show it for what it is. That would be very useful.
I know. I wanted to do that, but I don't have like.
I just want to get Ben's comments on what they go over in the tribalism, and then we're going to play one of those. We'll probably play the TYT one. But anyway, back into the clip.
And you have to be aware of that and not be naive, and that's really what my books are about.
And so, how do you keep from becoming too cynical?
Well, it's not about being cynical, because what I'm trying to tell you is you need to be attuned to each person as an individual. So you, Jimmy, if I'm sitting here and I'm trying to listen and sort of understand how you think, what your worldview is, where you come from, you know, and I gauge a sense looking at you that you're not one of these people who's ruthless, and in my books I explain how you can kind of decipher that through body language and other things, then I can let my guard down, and then we can have a human kind of encounter. But the moment I suspect that you're one of these scheming, self-absorbed people who's really basically out for yourself, I take a step back and I'm wary and I look at you. I don't have to see everybody like that, because it only takes one person out of a group of 100 to ruin the whole dynamic. Most people are good and most people are decent, but that 1 in 10 or whatever the number is, they can ruin it for the rest of them, for the rest of us. So it's not about being cynical where you see everybody as being ugly. That's another kind of problem that you'll have. It's about being realistic and understanding and being able to distinguish the mostly decent people from those occasional bad apples out there.
Talk a bit about the concepts in your latest book, The Laws of Human Nature, and how they apply to politics. Is it human nature for politicians to serve themselves or to serve those who elected them?
Well, in that book, I try and show that there are certain flaws in our nature and there are certain strengths. The flaws will be our tendency to be self-absorbed, to be governed by our emotions, to feel envy and always want to compare ourselves to others. And our strengths will be our empathy, our ability to work with other people. And political leaders simply carry their own strengths and weaknesses into the political sphere. And so what happens there are some political leaders who are very cynical, who go into politics mostly just for power. But then there are other people, probably the majority, who generally do have ideals. They generally have values. They want to help people. But what happens, and I explain it in my book, is that when you enter a power zone, let's say a business world or politics, the House of Representatives, the Pentagon, whatever, you tend to get absorbed by the culture that is there, and you slowly get separated from the people who brought you into power, and you naturally, it's a very natural reaction to want to hold on to that power that you have. You're now an elected individual, and you now have all of that attention, the media, people looking at you, and you like it. You don't want to get rid of it. You want to hold on to your power. And so slowly, as you get absorbed into this culture, into the system, you grow distant, more and more distant from the people who elected you. Yes, you'll give them token little things, populism and speeches, and you'll say the right things, but in your heart, you've grown further and further and further away from the people who brought you into power. And that is human nature.
You know, identity politics is a topic you've discussed in your books. What is identity politics?
Well, I prefer the word tribalism because I like to show that in human nature, we are extremely tribal animals. This goes back to our hunter-gatherer ancestors hundreds of thousands of years ago, where where contact with another tribe could spell death. There were communicable diseases. There were wars and battles. So we humans have a tremendous fear of the other, of the outsider, the stranger. And our instinct is to form tribes and tight-knit groups. And here we are in the 21st century, so far away from our ancient roots.